Chapter 753. He had to admit that the mermaid before him was indeed very attractive. Her looks were definitely of the highest quality. However, her fishtail did not arouse his interest at all. Most importantly, he already had Shueyun, so he would not have any thoughts about her. Shueyun was even prettier than her, and more importantly, he had feelings for her. That was more important than anything else. "You're thinking too much." Yi Tianyun threw her to the side and let her float in the water. He said in a low voice, "Do you think I'm that kind of person? You humans are all like this. You capture us mermaids, play with us, and buy and sell us as you please." The mermaid looked at him warily and said, "Grandma told me not to trust humans. But now that I've saved you, is it not reasonable for me to make a request? Didn't your grandma tell you that a mermaid needs to be grateful?" Yi Tianyun said casually. This has happened before." The young mermaid frowned, but still nodded her head. Yi Tianyun looked at her and almost laughed. He had just said it casually, but it was really true. This girl looked so innocent, and she even said that her grandma taught her. "It's good that you know. Moreover, I won't harm you. All right, I won't talk to you anymore. I won't capture you. I just need you to tell me something, and we'll call it even," Yi Tianyun said. "Really?" The mermaid was pleasantly surprised. If that was really the case, she could easily leave. "Do you think I'd lie to you?" Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. You don't look like a bad person. Those bad people grabbed my sisters and took them away without saying much to me." The mermaid tilted her head and thought about it seriously. Yi Tianyun was instantly amused. What she said was true. Such a beautiful person would definitely have a good market there. Usually, rich families would take them as slaves. They looked beautiful and special, so they could play with them. However, he had no interest in that. She was beautiful, but there was no point in doing that. "All right, what do you want to ask?" "I'll tell you." The mermaid thought about it seriously and nodded. "Very well, you just need to tell me where the sirens moved the huge palace." "Do you know?" Yi Tianyun asked. "The sirens moved the huge palace." The mermaid thought for a while and then exclaimed, "You mean the scarlet monsters? They are very cruel. Even we have to avoid them. If we get close, we will be captured. You're not thinking of finding the scarlet monsters, are you?" "Smart, you're right." Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He immediately collected detailed information. It seems that they are not of the same race. There were thousands of races. Not to mention those in the sea, there were also many races on land. But relatively speaking, the human race was the majority, so other races were relatively rare. Besides, it wasn't a big deal even if they met. Now that they were coexisting together, as long as there wasn't any conflict, there wouldn't be any problems. "But it's very dangerous there. Don't go. They have a sea demon king who is very powerful. He often captures the surrounding races and humans. I don't know what he's doing. Anyone who gets close to his territory will be captured." The mermaid was concerned for him. Yi Tianyun rubbed his chin and smiled. "It's okay. I'm going to find them." "Didn't they move the palace? Do you know how they moved it?" "I'm not sure. I heard that a group of scarlet monsters moved it bit by bit. I don't know the details. Anyone who gets close will be killed." "We don't know how they moved it," the mermaid answered honestly. Yi Tianyun nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that they did not know. From this, it could be seen that the scarlet monsters were very arrogant and powerful. It seemed that they were the overlords of this sea. No one dared to go against them. "Do you know where they live?" Yi Tianyun asked. "Do you really want to go? It's too dangerous there. I advise you not to go. Although your cultivation is not bad, if you get close to them, you will definitely die." The mermaid did not forget to advise him. "You don't have to worry about that. I want to go to the scarlet monster race to retrieve something. You just need to point the way, and I'll forget about saving you." Yi Tianyun waved his hand. This girl was very kind. However, it was impossible for him not to go. "No, if you die, I won't be repaying the favor. I'll be harming you." The mermaid was determined not to tell him. Yi Tianyun was so angry that he was about to cry. Fortunately, this girl met him. If she met someone else, she would probably be helping them count the money. I'm definitely going. The Scarlet Monster race has a grudge against me. I'm going to take revenge. Are you going to stop me? Yi Tianyun felt very helpless. If she still could not get an answer, he would use the eyes of enchantment to make her say it. You have a grudge against the Scarlet Monster race? The mermaid was puzzled. Yen, you can say that. They took away my things, so it can be said that they have a grudge against me. Yi Tianyun had never seen the Scarlet Monster race before. However, they took away the Ascension Altar, which meant that they had a grudge against him. Moreover, it was a huge grudge. This was something that could repel demons. Of course, it could not be taken away so easily. The mermaid was silent for a while. Then, she said, "All right, if you really want to go, I will also go with you." Ian, you want to go too? Didn't you say that it's very dangerous? Yi Tianyun was puzzled. Yes, but they also have a grudge against me. They killed my parents. The mermaid's eyes reddened. She gritted her teeth and said, "They also captured many of my sisters. I can't wait to kill them all." I see. Then hurry up and bring me there. I will help you take revenge. Yi Tianyun smiled. The mermaid's beautiful eyes were firm. Then, she nodded and said, "Then come with me. I will bring you to our place. I will bring some things with me and then bring you there. Without me bringing you there, you will definitely not be able to reach the Scarlet Monster race's place easily." "All right, bring me there," Yi Tianyun said. The mermaid nodded and dived into the water. Yi Tianyun followed her. As soon as he dived into the water, the mermaid blew a bubble over his head. "This will allow you to breathe. I know that you humans are unable to breathe underwater." The mermaid stretched out her hand and said, "Hold my hand. In the water, your speed will be very slow. You will not be able to compare to our mermaid race." Yi Tianyun felt the bubble covering his head. He smiled. He had to admit that this little girl was really considerate. Although it was true that one could not breathe underwater, that was only limited to those with low cultivation. For him, living here was not a problem. Chapter 754. What's wrong? The mermaid looked at Yi Tianyun. She felt that it was strange that Yi Tianyun kept looking at her. "Nothing, I just think you're quite funny. Are all the mermaids like this?" Yi Tianyun had never seen the mermaids before, so he didn't know about their situation. "Yes, all the mermaids are like this. Many of us are very nice, and we often help each other." The mermaid smiled, like a beautiful crabapple blooming. It was extremely beautiful. Especially in this dark blue sea, her dark blue hair floated slightly, as if she had blended into the entire sea. She was indeed the darling of the sea. She could easily blend into the water attribute environment, and even control the water spiritual energy at will. "Then I'll have to trouble you to lead the way." Yi Tianyun smiled. "But don't worry, I won't lose you. No matter how fast you are, I'll be able to catch up." "Really? I don't believe it. In the water, your speed is much slower than ours." The mermaid pouted, not convinced by Yi Tianyun's words. "What if I catch up?" Looking at her, Yi Tianyun had a feeling that he wanted to play with her. The kinder and more competitive she was, the more he wanted to play with her. "If you catch up, I'll treat you to something delicious." The mermaid's beautiful eyes were full of confidence, as if she was saying that Yi Tianyun would never catch up with her. "Delicious? You said it yourself. Then you set the rules. How far away do I have to go before I lose?" Yi Tianyun asked. 10 feet. As long as the distance is more than 10 feet, you lose. How about that? The mermaid's beautiful eyes flickered, and she began to get excited. 10 feet. No, that's too far. I thought it was 10 feet. You're looking down on me. Let's make it 10 feet. As long as the distance is more than 10 feet, I lose. How about that? Yi Tianyun smiled. 10 feet was more than 30 meters. If he was thrown more than 30 meters, how could he still be a sage king? He might as well kill himself with a piece of tofu. A distance of 3 meters was already considered far. At the very least, it was flying close to the body. You're really competitive. I've always heard that humans are very competitive. You really are. Fine, I'll let you taste the bitterness. The young mermaid's eyes flickered with intelligence. She smiled and said, I hope you can keep up. Let's go. As soon as she finished speaking, the young mermaid immediately turned into a sharp arrow and shot forward at an extremely fast speed. The surrounding water did not pose any resistance to her at all, and she passed through it easily. If it were other cultivators, it would be much more difficult to swim in the water. In the blink of an eye, the mermaid had swum 1,000 feet away. No wonder she was so confident. Her cultivation level is not high, she is only at 4th or 5th level of core condensation, but her swimming speed is much faster than the other cultivators of the same level. At the very least, he was several times faster than Zhongxian. If the difference in cultivation was too great, it would be impossible for him to catch up. This did not seem to be her maximum speed. One must know that when she was escaping earlier, her speed was much faster than this. Obviously, she was deliberately holding back. She wanted Yi Tianyun to keep up a little bit and not be left behind too much. I'll use a medium speed first. Otherwise, I won't be able to see that person if I'm too far away. The young mermaid thought in her heart. After swimming for a few hundred feet, she turned her head and immediately saw Yi Tianyun's handsome face less than half a meter behind her. She was so scared that she suddenly increased her speed and rushed forward. You're so fast. She did not use her full strength. She thought that she would be able to shake off a small distance, but who knew that he would be right behind her? Didn't I say that if I can't catch up to you, I will lose? I can't exceed this distance. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, Can you go faster? Don't you want to get rid of me? Hurry up. That's what you said. If you can't find me, remember to wait for me here, I will come back to find you. The young mermaid bit her lips. Immediately, her blue eyes flashed with a strong desire to win. Soon after, she turned her head and immediately increased her speed to nearly 5 times her previous speed as she rushed forward. In the blink of an eye, she had already rushed forward thousands of feet. This speed was so fast that even a core transformation stage cultivator could not keep up with her. No wonder she was so confident. If she used her full strength, ordinary core transformation stage cultivators would not be able to keep up. It was basically impossible for ordinary human cultivators to catch them, unless they had a higher cultivation or used special methods to hunt them. This time, she did not look back. Instead, she crazily shuttled forward. The seabed was not flat, but there were many rocks and huge corals that could be used as natural barriers. She rushed all the way to a very long distance in one breath. Even she did not know how far she had swum. She only felt that this was the limit of her escape. Because of her desire to win, she carelessly used all her strength. It's over, I swam too fast, I don't know where he is. The young mermaid was just about to turn her head to look at the situation when she heard Yi Tianyun's voice. Your speed is not bad, but it's not good enough. The young mermaid was so scared that she leaned against the corals and looked at Yi Tianyun in horror. She stammered, how can you keep up with me? I am at the limit of my speed. Even the strongest human cultivators might not be able to keep up with me. You are talking about ordinary cultivators. I am not an ordinary cultivator. Yi Tianyun smiled. It was not bad to play with her occasionally. It was the same as taking a break. Anyway, they were going to swim all the way. All right, I've lost. The young mermaid showed a depressed expression. She did not expect Yi Tianyun to be so fast. You admit defeat. Are we not going to continue? Isn't the finish line your house? It will be the end when we reach your house. Yi Tianyun smiled. No more. I have used all my strength and you can keep up. What's the point of competing? The young mermaid pouted. She then wagged her tail and said, Let's go this way. We will reach my house soon. Yi Tianyun smiled. Since she was not going to compete, he would hurry back to her house. After settling his business, he would hurry to the Scarlet Goblin tribe. Along the way, they chatted casually. He learned that the young mermaid's real name was Lan Qingling, and she lived in this part of the sea. However, due to the situation of the Scarlet Goblin tribe, they often changed their residence. Otherwise, they would be captured. Chapter 755. My house is in front. Stay here for the time being. Remember to hide and not let our clansmen see you. Otherwise, they will definitely attack you. Lan Qingling reminded him, indicating that he should not run around, otherwise, it would cause a lot of trouble. This was for sure. When Lan Qingling first saw him, she was filled with hostility, let alone other clans. Lan Qingling's attitude was considered good. It should be said that if he had not saved Lan Qingling, she would have already turned around and run. Why would she even talk to him? No problem. As long as I hide, no one will be able to find me. Yi Tianyun was not bragging. With his strong cultivation, unless there was an opponent stronger than him, it would be really difficult to find him. Alright, I'll go back first. I'll come back after I get something. Lan Qingling nodded at him and quickly swam forward. After passing through several places, the place she dived into was the huge sea whale in front of them. She entered through the breathing hole at the top of the sea whale. She did not expect that the place where the merfolk lived was a symbiotic relationship with the sea whale. However, this was not unexpected. The sea whale was huge, but its combat power was relatively limited. It was just a huge meat shield. Therefore, in the case of insufficient combat power, it was much more difficult to resist the hunting of other monsters. For this reason, the sea whale had to rely on the symbiotic relationship of other clans in order to play a supporting role. The merfolk were the main attacking force, and the sea whale provided shelter and defense. It was that simple. Especially the sea whale, it was indeed huge. It was hundreds of feet long, enough to accommodate thousands of people. In the case of the Scarlet Demon clan hunting, it was quite easy to hide. This place was relatively remote, surrounded by mountains, and there was a lot of seaweed floating around, acting as a barrier. The depth of the water here was astonishing. It could be said to be very deep. With his appraisal eye, if he did not continue to go deeper, he would not be able to find this place. Merfolk, Interesting, Yi Tianyun observed the situation around. There were strong merfolk patrolling the side with weapons. They were very vigilant. When Lan Qingling went over, they all nodded and bowed to her. It seemed that their status was very high. However, they did not speak. He did not know what their title was, but it seemed that their status was definitely not low. After a while, there was nothing left to see. It was just like that. Apart from the mermaids, there was also a huge whale. This whale's cultivation level was not low, it was at the peak of core transformation stage. It could be regarded as a strong meat shield. According to his judgment, without the cultivation of void spirit stage, it would be difficult to injure this sea whale. The defense was simply too thick. Ordinary attacks would not be able to penetrate it. I wonder what they are taking so long. Yi Tianyun lay on the water plants. He felt that he had been waiting for a long time. He had been here for 2 hours. This was no longer taking things, they were probably discussing something inside. He could only continue to wait here for a while. The place where the merfolk lived was already so hidden, he believed that the Scarlet Demon clan's place was even more hidden. Without Lan Qingling leading the way, he was afraid that he would not be able to reach it. While he continued to wait here, suddenly there was a little movement in front of him. Many mermaids drilled into the body of the sea whale, and then the sea whale began to swim. From the looks of it, it was obvious that they were preparing to leave this place. Perhaps they were preparing for something to happen. What's going on? Did they find something? Half an hour ago, he saw a mermaid swimming in this direction. After drilled into the body, half an hour later, it began to leave. Obviously, it had found something and was now preparing to move to another place. But if that was the case, how could Lan Qingling lead the way? Just when he was about to search inside the sea whale, Lan Qingling swam out of the sea whale and swam towards him. Yi Tianyun immediately showed himself so that she would not see him. Big Brother Yi, she shouted nearby. What's the situation? Yi Tianyun appeared in front of her and asked. Great, hurry up and come with me, the Scarlet Demon clan is chasing us, we need to retreat quickly. Before she finished speaking, she grabbed Yi Tianyun's hand and swam towards the sea whale. In the blink of an eye, she arrived above the sea whale and swam towards the entrance. Wait, aren't you worried that I will be seen by the people of the Scarlet Demon clan? If you take me to hide in there, won't we be discovered? Yi Tianyun was puzzled. If I don't take you with me, you will definitely be discovered by the Scarlet Demon clan. At that time, you will die here. Lan Qingling quickly brought him into the passage. Soon, he entered a space. There was not a single drop of water in it, it was completely emptied. Just as he was brought in, a respectful voice came from the front. Princess, where have you been? In a while, the Scarlet Demon clan will be here, you still want to go out now? Human. The guards in front immediately became vigilant, one after another, they raised the weapons in their hands and pointed in this direction, their eyes were full of vigilance. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw that all the people here were guards. The man with the highest cultivation was in front of him, he had reached the 5th level of core transformation stage. Looking at the situation of the surrounding guards, he should be at the level of elder. But there was one thing that was not wrong. Lan Qingling was really at the level of a princess. Whether it was her beauty or talent, they were all first class, so it was not surprising that she was a princess. Grandpa Bo, don't worry, he is not a bad person, he saved me. Lan Qingling stood in front of Yi Tianyun, signaling them not to be nervous. Saved you? Grandpa Bo looked at her doubtfully, and then immediately said anxiously, no matter whether he saved you or not, come here first. Lan Qingling believed in Yi Tianyun, but it did not mean that they believed in Yi Tianyun. In the situation of different races, it was really impossible to trust each other. Especially when it was the first time they met, how could they trust each other? No, I have to make it clear, lest you think he is a bad person. Immediately, Lan Qingling explained the general situation clearly, including the situation of Yi Tianyun going to the Scarlet Demon clan's territory. So that's what happened. Don't worry, since he saved the princess, it is equivalent to the Mermaid clan being indebted to him, we will not hurt him. Although Grandpa Bo said so, he did not lower his vigilance. It was not easy to lower their vigilance, unless they continued to understand more. Moreover, they all knew Lan Qingling's character, she was too kind, she might be deceived. Okay, big brother Yi, let's go. Lan Qingling smiled and led him forward. Chapter 756. Friend, thank you for saving the princess. Please forgive me for my rudeness just now. Elder Bo sized up Yi Tianyun, trying to figure out something from him. Unfortunately, he couldn't see anything, not even his cultivation. Yi Tianyun's cultivation was so much higher than his. It would be a miracle if he could see anything. It's fine. I just don't know why you went out alone when it's so dangerous outside. I forgot to ask. As a princess, you went out alone. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He didn't even ask why Lan Qingling would go out alone and get chased by a powerful monster. I'll go look for the water jade grass to treat Grandma's injuries. Lan Qingling had just said that when Elder Bo glared at her. It's our fault. If not for you, we would be in big trouble. Elder Bo glared at Lan Qingling and said, the situation is even more urgent now. The Scarlet Demon race is chasing us. If they catch up, we'll be in trouble. At this time, Yi Tianyun could already feel the whale swimming deep into the sea at a shocking speed. He didn't know where it was going to hide. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes at Elder Bo. He interrupted so quickly to change the topic so that he didn't know about Lan Qingling's grandma's injuries. Since Lan Qingling was a princess, then her grandma should be the Mermaid King, an existence that ruled over this place. The Mermaid King definitely wouldn't say that she was injured. If the strongest person was injured, there would definitely be a loophole. To put it bluntly, Elder Bo was afraid that Yi Tianyun would spread the news. If the mermaid race was attacked, it would be troublesome. Lan Qingling didn't think too much about it. She revealed a depressed expression. I just wanted to do something to help Grandma. Grandma is injured. If she doesn't get better soon, it'll be troublesome. Her eyes were red and she looked very sad. Elder Bo was extremely embarrassed. This princess of his was too innocent. He had already changed the topic, but Lan Qingling still changed it back. Seeing this, Yi Tianyun could not help but smile. It wasn't that Lan Qingling was too naive. Rather, it was because her impression of him had reached 150 points. This meant that she had a lot of trust in him. She didn't trust him at first, but she slowly started to trust him. However, it was not wrong that she was naive. She trusted others easily. Your grandma is injured. Yi Tianyun looked at her and asked. He had already heard it earlier, and now that Elder Bo couldn't avoid it even if he wanted to, he could only let her speak. Yes, they're all from the Scarlet Fiend clan. If it weren't for them, Grandma wouldn't have been injured. Now that he was injured and resting, he needed the water jade grass to heal his injuries. But I searched outside for a long time and still couldn't find the water jade grass. Lan Qingling sighed. Even now, we still haven't found the water jade grass, and the Scarlet Demon tribe is attacking. So the reason she went out alone was to find the water jade grass. The water jade grass was a 4th-grade spirit medicine, and it wasn't that easy to find. It could be considered as a unique spirit medicine that grew in the water. After this friend leaves, please don't tell anyone about this. I'm afraid of attracting unnecessary trouble. Elder Bo sighed and could only tell the truth. Rest assured, Elder Bo. I won't tell anyone about this. Yi Tianyun found it funny. It must have been tough on them. It's good as long as you don't tell anyone. Elder Bo nodded his head, feeling a little more convinced in his heart. Now that you're hiding from the Scarlet Demon tribe, you should be able to escape easily. Once everything stabilizes, you should leave. I believe you know the situation here. It's dangerous to continue staying here. Elder Bo had the intention of chasing them away, but he was also trying to persuade them. They really weren't that safe. Don't worry about that. Actually, you guys don't have to run. I can still deal with the Scarlet Demon tribe. Yi Tianyun said calmly. This. Elder Bo and the rest froze up. This tone was really arrogant. Even they couldn't deal with them, and this brat who popped out of nowhere said that he could? Princess, is this human you brought back a scammer? Why is he spouting nonsense after just arriving here? At this moment, a young man stood out and stood between him and Lan Qingling, looking at him with a vigilant face. Yi Tianyun looked at the young man who had walked out. From the moment he came in, he had been staring at him with malicious intent. Even though he knew that he had saved Lan Qingling, he still chose not to believe him. Little Fatty Hai, what are you doing? Lan Qingling frowned and said, Big Brother Yi is not a scammer. He really saved me and helped me kill that dragon sea beast. If not for Big Brother Yi, I might have been injured. She stood in front of Yi Tianyun again, blocking Little Fatty Hai from speaking. However, this name was a little interesting. This Little Fatty Hai wasn't fat at all. He looked rather skinny and weak, but he was called Little Fatty. Who knew how he was fat? So what if he defeated the sea dragon sea beast? But he said that he could deal with the Scarlet Demon tribe. Isn't that full of nonsense? Even the Empress couldn't deal with them, but he said that he could. What a boast. Little Fatty Hai stared at Yi Tianyun and said, You humans always like to boast, wanting to show off your strength. Who knew that when you meet with danger, you would escape faster than anyone else? This guy was going tit for tat right from the start, and his words were quite fierce. But if one listened carefully, it was indeed true. There were a lot of boasting on their side, but Yi Tianyun wouldn't. Do you like the princess? Yi Tianyun didn't get angry and asked instead. Everyone thought that Yi Tianyun would retort, but who knew that he would say something like this? Little Fatty Hai was immediately dumbfounded and his face turned red. Obviously, he had been seen through, and he looked like he was about to explode. You are talking nonsense. I didn't. Little Fatty Hai took 2 steps back and glanced at Lan Qingling, stuttering. Even Elder Bo and the others could see through his actions. Lan Qingling said innocently, Little Fatty Hai, do you like me? But I don't like you. Kaboom! Like a bolt from the blue, Little Fatty Hai's face turned pale. Such a simple and crude rejection, without even thinking for half a second. Yi Tianyun almost spat out his saliva. You like me, but I don't like you. These words were quite impactful, and she said it in front of so many people. One could not help but say that Lan Qingling had a screw loose in her head. I'm leaving. Little Fatty Hai turned his head and ran away, covering his face. He didn't dare to stay here any longer. Cough cough, Princess Lan, that's quite a blow to my confidence. Yi Tianyun said. Blow to my confidence? How so? Lan Qingling blinked her innocent eyes, causing many people to smile bitterly. Chapter 757. Brother Yi, you know how to heal. But how do you heal without the water jade grass? Lankingaling asked. Sometimes, you don't need the water jade grass to heal. Yi Tianyun's words were full of confidence. For others, they would need the assistance of the water jade grass to heal. But for Yi Tianyun, he didn't need it. He could easily heal with just his spiritual power. Really? Then, hurry up and come with me to heal Grandma. Lankingaling was terrifyingly naive. She immediately believed Yi Tianyun's words and pulled him towards the Mermaid King. Princess, wait. Elder Bo hurriedly blocked in front of them. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why did his princess believe everything this young man said? It was easy to be fooled. Elder Bo, what's wrong? Big brother Yi can heal Grandma, we have to hurry up and bring him to heal. Lan Qingling was puzzled. We have to ask carefully. Elder Bo didn't really believe it. He stared at Yi Tianyun and said, "Are you sure you can heal our queen? You haven't even seen what kind of injury it is. How do you know you can heal it?" He was starting to think that Yi Tianyun was bragging. He might even be a traitor. He had been full of lies from the beginning, which made his impression on him drop. First, he said he could deal with the Scarlet Demon race. Then, he said he could heal injuries. It could be said that he could solve any problem. If I say there's no problem, then there's no problem. I never speak nonsense. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, usually, water jade grass is needed only to injure the muscles and bones, and it's the kind that's very deep. I'm guessing that there was some kind of fierce attack that caused a lot of bones to be shattered. When you mermaid race use this thing, I think the focus should be on the tail. I'm afraid the vertebrae inside have been shattered. How do you know? Elder Bo and the others were shocked. Yi Tianyun really guessed it right. It's not difficult to deduce it. This kind of injury requires water jade grass to recover quickly. But for me, I don't need water jade grass to help your empress heal. Yi Tianyun said. It wasn't difficult to guess it, especially when he used the water jade grass. He immediately figured it out. Even if the Mermaid King's cultivation was above the Void Spirit stage, or even the Spirit King stage, she wouldn't be able to recover immediately. He guessed that the Mermaid King here was at most at the Void Spirit stage, and it would take a long time for her to recover. He could imagine that the fish's tail had been shattered, almost like a broken leg. Elder Bo and the rest frowned and remained silent. They didn't know if they should believe him. If he brought Yi Tianyun along, and if he really harbored ill intentions, wouldn't that be harming the Empress? Grandpa Bo, Big Brother Yi has already said that he can be treated, hurry up and get treated. I saw that Grandma was in a lot of pain just now. She needs to heal quickly, Lan Qingling said. Is it really good to trust an outsider so unconditionally? Princess, why do you trust a human so much? You should know that many of our mermaids have been captured by the human race. If he has evil intentions towards the Empress, wouldn't he be harming the Empress? Princess, you have to think about it carefully. Don't just trust the words of others. At this time, a guard on the side couldn't help but say. Their hostility still hasn't lessened, and it can't be alleviated with just a few words. Why do I trust him? Lan Qingling thought for a moment and said. Because I can feel that Big Brother Yi is telling the truth, that's why I believe him. They shook their heads and smiled bitterly. What kind of reason is this? Can she hear the truth from someone's words? Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. This kind of ability isn't impossible. Some people can tell whether someone is telling the truth or not. Maybe Lan Qingling has this ability. Princess Lan, it seems that you are the only one who trusts me. Yi Tianyun reached out and rubbed her little head. Princess, don't mess around. Without water jade grass, it will be difficult to heal. Elder Bo chose not to believe in the end. No matter what Yi Tianyun said, it was useless. Lan Qingling immediately put on a straight face and looked at him. Grandpa Bo, I am now the next Empress. I order you to step aside and let us heal Grandma. I believe Big Brother Yi. I believe that he will not lie to me, and I can tell that he is telling the truth. She suddenly changed and her aura suddenly rose. She really has the demeanor of an empress. Their expressions stiffened. They didn't expect Lan Qingling to use her identity as the next empress to pressure them. Then. In the end, Elder Bo could only agree. This is not a problem, but one thing must be clear. If you dare to do anything, the mermaids will hunt you down no matter where you go. Let's not talk about you for now. Do you think that your empress can't sense that something is wrong? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. To be honest, there is nothing in the mermaids that I am interested in. If it wasn't for your princess, I wouldn't even bother to make a move. They were startled and resentment rose in their hearts, but they still chose to lead the way. Since Lan Qingling had already said so, they could only lead the way. Soon, under their lead, they came to a room that was deeper inside. In this sea whale, they had even built a simple room. However, this would not affect the situation of the sea whale. They had built the rooms in a more reasonable area. We're here. Lan Qingling pulled open the crystal bead curtain and led Yi Tianyun inside. Elder Bo and the guards hurriedly followed, keeping a close eye on Yi Tianyun's actions. As soon as they entered, Yi Tianyun felt a cold chill enveloping the area. Grandma, I've brought someone to heal you. Lan Qingling hurriedly walked in and came to the huge shell in front of them. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw a stunning beauty lying on the huge shell. At most, she was less than 30 years old. It turned out to be his grandma. Her cultivation was just as he had guessed, void spirit stage level 8, which was not bad. However, her aura was weak and her fishtail was frozen in ice. Vaguely, one could see that the scales inside were broken. Blood dyed the ice red. Obviously, she was using ice to suppress her injuries. Human. When the Empress saw Yi Tianyun, her killing intent immediately surged. She instantly locked on to Yi Tianyun. Even if she was injured, she would not show any weakness. Grandma, he is not a bad person. He saved my life. Lan Qingling roughly explained the situation. At this time, the Empress' killing intent gradually subsided, but her eyes were still full of doubts. You mean, I don't need the water jade grass to heal? The Empress was puzzled. Chapter 758. What? You don't even need to touch me and you can heal me? The Empress said in disbelief. You don't need the water jade grass or touch me, and you can heal me? Human brat, do you know how serious my injuries are now? Of course I know. Your tailbone is basically shattered, and the power of fire has invaded your body. Using this profound frost ice to wrap your tail, other than relieving the pain, the most important thing is to suppress the evil fire. Yi Tianyun could tell at a glance that nothing could escape his eyes. The Empress looked at him and said after a while, that's quite accurate, but I don't know how effective it will be. You can heal me without touching me. Is that really possible? It's possible. In theory, the effect will definitely be better if I touch you, but I believe that no one will believe me now that they have seen the situation. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, so if anything goes wrong, I guess the spear in my hand will immediately stab me. He glanced at the many guards beside him who were holding their spears tightly, as if they were going to stab him at any time. Grandma, Big Brother Yi will not hurt you. I believe in his words. Lan Qingling said honestly. Green Spirit, you trust the words of others too much, the Empress said as she reached out and tapped her forehead. No, I can tell if it's the truth or not. Grandma, you don't even believe me. When have you ever seen me being lied to? Lan Qingling pouted and said unhappily. That's true, but you haven't been out much. The Empress shook her head and looked at Yi Tianyun and said, if you can heal me, the mermaid race is willing to apologize and treat you as an honored guest, a good friend forever. Some things are a bit rude, but I believe you should know what is going on. The Empress did not point it out, but Yi Tianyun certainly knew what was going on. The human race often caught mermaids, and when they saw them, they did not need to explain anything and immediately killed them. If it weren't for Lan Qingling, they would have already started fighting. They could be said to be mortal enemies, so how could they possibly talk nicely? There's no need for that. I just feel like I'm fated to meet the Blue Princess. I just want to go to the Scarlet Beasts to retrieve something. Everything else has nothing to do with me. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, if you don't have any questions, can we begin? To the Scarlet Demon tribe. The Empress seemed to have caught on to something, but she didn't go too deep. Instead, she said, very well, we can start now. You can get closer. There's no need. I'll just do it here. If you think it's really effective, then let me treat it further. Immediately, Yi Tianyun equipped the longevity necklace. His recovery rate instantly multiplied. He didn't need any elixirs to heal himself. The Immortal Series equipment was the reason why he could heal himself. After equipping it, not only would it have amazing recovery effects, but it would also have no problem healing the wounds of others. It could be said that he had instantly become a healer, able to heal the people around him at any time. After wearing the longevity necklace, it immediately released a dense life force that spread out into the surroundings. Such a rich life force, they thought that it was a spirit herb in front of them, but when they looked carefully, they found that it was actually Yi Tianyun. Let's start. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and flicked his finger. A green spiritual power flowed and quickly penetrated into her body. With an amazing recovery speed, it began to heal her internal injuries. This speed was quite amazing. Combined with the power of a Saint King stage, how could the healing speed not be fast? Under the amazing recovery speed, the Empress could really feel the injuries in her body quickly recovering. Not only that, the evil fire in her body was quickly extinguished. It was much stronger than the profound cold ice. Without the evil fire burning in her body, she immediately felt a lot better. You can come up, I'll help you heal. The hostility in the Empress' eyes had basically disappeared. She had already confirmed that Yi Tianyun could help her heal. Healing from afar was still too slow. This. Elder Bo and the others were shocked. They didn't expect it to really work. Even the Empress had acknowledged it, which meant that the recovery speed was amazing. I said that Big Brother Yi can definitely heal, I can hear it. Lan Qingling tapped her ear and smiled. You guys didn't believe me even if I told you. You were so long-winded outside for so long. Elder Bo and the others were embarrassed. Wasn't this just a precaution? They didn't expect that the princess would slap their faces so crazily that their faces were almost swollen. Yi Tianyun smiled and walked in front of the Empress. Sorry for my lack of manners. He reached out and touched the profound cold ice. With a bang, the profound cold ice was shattered into powder, and a horribly injured fishtail appeared in front of them. When Lan Qingling saw the injury, the smile on her face disappeared. Her eyes turned red and tears rolled in her eyes. What are you crying for? Look at your big brother Yi. Yi Tianyun smiled and reached out to cover the Empress's fishtail. The Empress's pretty face turned red. She didn't expect that her fishtail would be caught by a human. However, in order to heal, the situation was urgent and she had to compromise. Yi Tianyun didn't think too much and immediately activated the longevity necklace to heal. Soon, the fish scales that were in a terrible state began to heal rapidly. The blood that kept flowing out stopped and flesh even began to grow back. This kind of recovery speed was really amazing. Everyone was stunned. They had used a lot of elixirs to heal, but the recovery effect was very limited. Now, it was not even as effective as the spiritual energy released by Yi Tianyun. In fact, Yi Tianyun was still not very satisfied. If he could gather a set of longevity necklace, the healing effect would definitely be better. He still had 2 chances at the lottery. If he could get one, the healing effect would definitely be even more amazing. Lottery. Yi Tianyun wanted to take this opportunity to draw the lottery. After all, healing did not require much energy. Soon, the huge lottery wheel began to spin and the people around couldn't see it. He looked at the lottery wheel, squinted his eyes and said, "Give me the accessory category." With the help of the powerful luck aura, he did not get the accessory category but the equipment category. Alright, the equipment category, ding dong. After opening the box, what appeared in the inventory was primordial godly armor. He didn't expect to get the primordial set. A set of 4 accessories could produce the set effect, but to make the effect complete, he still needed the primordial godly armor and the primordial boots. He didn't expect to get the primordial godly armor. This round was not a loss at all. Again, although the primordial godly armor was not bad, his evil spirit set was also amazing. What he needed now was the longevity series, which could enhance the healing effect. He could also use it in the future. Chapter 759. The second lottery spun crazily again. With the help of super luck and the infinite magnification of the lucky aura, the effect was immediately shown. As Yi Tianyun prayed in his heart, the pointer slowly stopped at the jewelry column, and it didn't exceed his expectation. Just as he expected, with the huge increase in his luck, it was not surprising to get this accessory. The key was what it could produce. That was the key. It must be the longevity set. Yi Tianyun prayed in his heart. This was what he needed the most right now. If there was a set, he would definitely gather all of it. Especially this kind of good accessory. After gathering all of it and using it together, the effect would be equally amazing. When used together with the evil spirit set, its combat power would also be off the charts. Ding dong. After opening the wooden box, an emerald green ring appeared in front of him, longevity ring. It's really the longevity set. Yi Tianyun was so excited that even his breathing changed. The treatment stopped for a moment. This caused the queen to be puzzled. She looked at Yi Tianyun and asked, "What's going on? Could it be that the exhaustion is too much and you need to rest?" Everyone else stared at this side. They could see that their queen's body was constantly recovering. Based on this situation, it would not take many days for her to recover. She did not need any water jade grass at all. As long as Yi Tianyun helped with the treatment, it would be fine. We have some good recovery pills here. I can give them to you." Elder Bo quickly took out the recovery pills. They did not have water jade grass, but they had a lot of recovery pills. To be able to see Yi Tianyun's treatment, other than gratitude, he felt even more guilty. Fortunately, Lan Qingling fought for it. Otherwise, after Yi Tianyun left, they would have to slowly search for water jade grass again, which would waste a lot of time. There's no need for that. I just need to adjust my breathing. I'll be fine in a while. Yi Tianyun smiled in his heart. He would definitely not say that he was excited. How could he not be excited to get a set? However, it was all thanks to the 3,000 luck. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to get it. This was just like the previous few times when he got the experience card. It was not a loss, but at least it was not what he needed. "Big brother Yi, do you want to take a break?" Lan Qingling asked worriedly. "Don't worry, I can do it." Yi Tianyun nodded. However, this action immediately won them a favorable impression. Not only did they not feel repulsed by them, they even insisted on treating them. This behavior made Elder Bo and the others feel even more guilty. Yi Tianyun ignored what they were thinking. He put on the longevity ring and its effects immediately soared. Longevity ring increases healing power by 5 times and defense by 20 times. Gather 2 rings and you can use absolute defense. The effects of the longevity ring were simple and brutal. Like before, it increased the user's healing power to an astonishing degree. Additionally, it also increased the user's defensive power to an astonishing degree. As expected of a set that increased the healing and defense to the extreme. Once the set was completed, it would be a truly invincible meat shield. If he couldn't beat them, he could exhaust them to death. If he could fight and tank, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone. After putting it on, he immediately immersed himself in healing. This time, the healing speed was increased by 5 times, and his speed suddenly shot up. Compared to before, it was a lot faster, and they were all stunned. Especially the rich life force, which made them think that Yi Tianyun was the incarnation of the spirit grass. Otherwise, how could he have such a rich life force? This healing speed is too fast. The queen and the others were all stunned, especially the queen. She could feel her pain slowly disappearing, and there was no longer the intense pain from before. According to this situation, it would take at most 1 or 2 days for him to completely recover. The effects of pills were not as amazing as this. Of course, in reality, the effects of pills were even more amazing, provided that they were high-grade pills, especially those that were above the 5th or 6th refinement level. The effects of Yi Tianyun's treatment were amazing. The longevity set was not bad, but there were only 2 of them. If they were gathered together, it would be comparable to a decent pill. But compared to a top-notch pill, it was still far from it. Just when they thought that the situation could continue, a guard suddenly rushed in from outside and said anxiously, "Not good, not good. What's the situation? Can't you see that I'm healing?" Elder Bo was furious. If it affected Yi Tianyun's healing, it would be troublesome. But the situation is urgent now. The Scarlet Demon tribe has already caught up and climbed onto the back of the sea whale. Now that the sea whale is being attacked, if this continues, they will barge in, the guard said anxiously. What? Elder Bo and the Queen were shocked. The sea whale is so fast, how can they catch up? And our escape route is very hidden, they should not know. Yes, it's the Scarlet Demon tribe's cloud-chasing demon master. He can easily lock onto our sea whale. The guard explained. Cloud-chasing demon master? Why did they send him? The Queen hurriedly sat up, but it did not affect Yi Tianyun's healing. He continued to heal while listening to their conversation. Cloud-chasing demon master, it's over. He injured the Queen before. Looks like he will definitely stop us here this time. Elder Bo's eyes were cold. Looks like that's the case. We can only defend with all our strength. The Queen stood up, looked at Yi Tianyun and said, "Thank you, friend, for helping me heal. You are a lifetime friend of the mermaid tribe. But the situation is urgent now. Take Lan and leave here, or it will be too late." Clearly, the situation was very serious, or else the Queen would not have gone into battle with injuries. But Lan Qingling refused to leave. Go, take Water Jade Pearl and leave. Lan you are the future hope of the mermaid tribe, you cannot stay here. The Queen said sternly, looking at Lan Qingling with determination. Lan Qingling bit her lips, grabbed Yi Tianyun and ran to the back of the bedroom, not wanting to stay here any longer. This human is very reliable, but it's a pity that we can't repay him. The Queen shook her head and quickly led them outside. Yeah, it's a pity that I finally got to know a human that I can trust. Elder Bo shook his head and sighed. I still wanted to apologize to him, but I'm afraid I can't now. I hope we can survive this battle. He let out a carefree smile, ready for a battle, but this time, it would probably be a battle of life and death. At the same time, after Lan Qingling dragged Yi Tianyun into the room, through a long passage, they soon arrived at an empty room. Floating in the room was a blue jade pearl the size of a fist, emitting a faint blue light. One look and anyone could tell that it was not an ordinary item. Chapter 760. Yi Tianyun knew that they must have some kind of treasure that they didn't want to be snatched away by the Scarlet Demon clan. He thought that it would be good enough to have a low-grade or mid-grade divine artifact. Who knew that it turned out to be a divine artifact? Furthermore, it was a middle-grade divine artifact. It was truly blinding. Middle-grade divine artifacts were quite rare. It could even be described as rare. He now had a lot of divine artifacts, but they were all low-grade divine artifacts. Very few of them were mid-grade divine artifacts. For example, the Star Divine artifact in the Heaven Realm was only a mid-grade divine artifact after accumulating 10 of them. It was really shocking that the Water Jade Bead in front of him was actually a mid-grade divine artifact. Water Jade Bead, middle-grade divine artifact. It has the effect of controlling extreme cold and can mobilize the power of all water bodies for its own use. Worn on the body, it can increase the cultivation speed of experts with water attribute physique by 5 times. When necessary, it can be turned into an extreme water shield that can withstand the fierce attack of the enemy. It was a very powerful mid-grade divine artifact. As expected of a mid-grade divine artifact, it still had many effects. Especially the ability to increase the speed of cultivation, which was already very amazing. At least for ordinary cultivators, it was really a desirable divine artifact. In addition, the other effects were also very amazing. However, this thing was of little significance to him. Although the speed of cultivation was very good, he had a similar treasure a long time ago. It was just that he didn't use it. He had never cultivated much, so it would be a waste to give it to him. He was not a person who was willing to stay in the cultivation room and do a good closed-door cultivation. He would rather go out and kill monsters than stay in the cultivation room to cultivate. Unless there were countless pills in the cultivation room, or extremely amazing spiritual power, he was not willing to stay here. The point was that the mermaid clan had such a treasure, which was really unexpected. From this point, he could feel that the Scarlet Demon clan also had an amazing divine artifact. Otherwise, How could they move the Heaven Ascension divine altar? But how could they have such an amazing treasure? He carefully searched through his memory and really learned a little about the situation in the mortal world from the memory given to him by the King of the Heavens. The heaven-creating divine king was not the only one in the mortal world who resisted the demons. There were also many powerful races who resisted together. After all, if they did not resist, only death awaited them. Among them, the mermaid tribe was the most courageous and skillful in battle. The Empress wielded the water jade bead and attacked the demons in a frenzy. Who would have thought that the mermaid race would be considered a hero at that time, but as time passed, they slowly declined. At that time, they had suffered heavy losses as well, so it was not surprising that they had declined. Fortunately, the water jade bead was still around. The heaven-creating divine king gave him a lot of memories, and he couldn't finish reading them in a short time, so he only took out some of the more important information. Since he came to the mortal world, he hadn't seen much of them. Who knew that the mermaid clan was a meritorious minister and had a good relationship with the heaven-creating divine king. The water jade bead was personally forged by the heaven-creating divine king, but thanks to the many materials provided by the mermaid clan, otherwise, the heaven-creating divine king would not be able to forge it. However, the water jade bead was not very effective in their hands. The reason was very simple. Their cultivation was too low. How could it be that easy to mobilize the power of a medium-grade god tool? At the very least, one would need to be at the level of a saint king to be able to mobilize most of its power. At that time, they would basically be able to walk unhindered in the mortal world, but the cultivation of the saint king stage would be limited here. Before they reached the saint king stage, they would have to go to the ghost world or the heaven world. I didn't expect there to be such a relationship. It seems that I have to take some time to carefully study the situation in this regard. How many heroes are there in the mortal world? We must unite. Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. At this time, Lan Qingling had already come to the water jade bead and took it, but she did not put it away herself. Instead, she quickly came to his side and stuffed the water jade bead into his hand. Big brother Yi, take this water jade bead and run away quickly. I have to go back and support Grandma. Lan Qingling's eyes were shining and full of determination. At this critical moment, she was not afraid at all. In fact, it could even be said that she was brave. He was stunned. He didn't expect that Lan Qingling would give him the water jade bead and he was going to fight. He had just met her not long ago, and she gave him a medium-grade god tool just like that. She trusted him a little too much. Didn't your grandma tell you to take this treasure and leave? If you go back like this, won't it make your grandma angry? Yi Tianyun was sure that he could save the mermaid clan, but he wanted to see Lan Qingling's choice. Yes, I chose to abandon my parents and leave. This time, I don't want to run away again. Lan Qingling's eyes were red. Yi Tianyun could see a lot of thoughts in her blue eyes. But what about this water jade bead? Yi Tianyun asked. We are not the only mermaid clan. They are spread all over the sea. Big brother Yi, if you can find other mermaid clan members, you can give this to them. Lan Qingling pushed Yi Tianyun away and said, let's go. I know big brother Yi is strong, but this time we are facing Demon Master Cloud, who is much stronger than Grandma. If we can get through this, I will definitely treat big brother Yi well. But now, I am afraid I can't. Escape from there, everything depends on you. Goodbye. Lan Qingling turned around and left. Her hurried figure was full of determination. In other words, her behavior was too stupid. It meant that her grandma's sacrifice might be in vain. But from another point of view, living and dying together could reflect some people's dignity. Silly girl, are the mermaid clan so fearless of death? Yi Tianyun thought of the memory given to him by the King of the Heavens. In the past, the mermaid clan fought bravely against the enemies, and they were not afraid of any demons at all. Other than the heaven-creating divine king, the mermaid clan killed the most enemies. How could Yi Tianyun not help them? At the same time, the queen and the others had arrived at the exit of the sea whale island. A devilish voice sounded from the exit. My Empress, where do you think you're going? Demon Master Cloud. The queen and the others looked at the figure in front of them and their faces suddenly sank. In front of them was the Scarlet Demon clan. His whole body was red, and his body had the characteristics of fish scales and gills. But the most shocking thing was that he had 4 arms, which was obviously the characteristic of the Evil Spirit clan. In addition to Demon Master Cloud, there were many Scarlet Demon clan members around him, each holding a powerful weapon and guarding the exit. At this time, the Sea Whale Island was constantly twisting its body in pain. In fact, it could not move at all and was firmly trapped here. Chapter 761. Cloud Chasing Demon Master's cultivation was astonishing. He was at Void Spirit Stage Level 8, a level stronger than the Empress. Just looking at the 2 arms on his back, one could tell that his overall strength was not as simple as it seemed. If Yi Tianyun was here, he would immediately know that it would be difficult for the Empress to defeat Cloud Chasing Demon Master. Unless she had some kind of treasure, it would be impossible for her to defeat Cloud Chasing Demon Master. It was not because of the difference in cultivation, but because the power of the Evil Spirit tribe could crush opponents of the same level. The Mermaid tribe's bloodline was not amazing. They were the favorites of the water and had a unique ability to control water spiritual power. The problem was that Cloud Chasing Demon Master was from the Scarlet Demon tribe. His control of water spiritual power was not weaker than the Mermaid tribe. Therefore, the gap between the two was not too big. My Empress, I did not expect you to recover so quickly. Did you find the water jade grass? Cloud Chasing Demon Master walked over with a smile. He looked at the mermaids who were filled with killing intent and said, "Don't be so nervous. It's a foregone conclusion. I have trapped you whales and guarded the other exits. Where do you think you can escape to? Even if you are the Empress, it is meaningless for me if you recover to your peak state." Cloud Chasing Demon Master was not anxious at all. Instead, he looked at them and said, "I'll give you 2 choices now. The first is to die and be captured by me as a sacrifice. The second is to submit to the Scarlet Demon tribe and hand over the water jade bead to me. It's a waste to keep such a treasure with you. I think even if we submit to you, you will still capture many of our tribesmen as sacrifices." The Empress held the weapon in her hand tightly. It was a low-grade sacred tool. With their cultivation, it was more effective to use a weapon of this level. "That is true. But if you do not submit to me, you will all be captured as sacrifices. I think the Empress should know what to choose, right?" Cloud Chasing Demon Master's eyes were filled with coldness like a sharp sword that was about to be unsheathed at any time. "Don't worry. We would rather die than let you have your way. Moreover, it is still uncertain who will live and who will die." The aura of the Empress and the others soared into the sky, and they did not fear death in the slightest. They still possessed that extremely stubborn strength. As expected of the Mermaid clan. "You've always been fearless of death. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish." Cloud Chasing Demon Master pointed with a finger and said in a deep voice, "Capture them. Kill those who resist." Yes. The Scarlet Demons were also full of vigor. Without any hesitation, they charged towards the Merfolk tribe. Red light condensed on the long spears in their hands, emitting a demonic fiery light. The Scarlet Demon clan possessed both fire and water attributes, and could be considered a rather peculiar variant. This attack was undoubtedly a fatal one for the mermaid race. "Grandma, let me help you." At this moment, Lan Qingling ran up from the back with a spear in her hand, giving off the vibe of a woman who was not inferior to any man. "Princess." When Fatty Hai and the rest saw Lan Qingling running out, they were shocked. Even the Empress was shocked. She had told them to run away, but who would have thought that Lan Qingling would turn back the way she came? This made her heart sink to the extreme. Now, they could not escape even if they wanted to. Her original plan was to stall Cloud Chasing Demon Master, or risk her life to kill her way out with her people to attract all the attention here. Following Lan Qingling and Yi Tianyun to escape was a rather good plan. Now that everything was ruined, Lan Qingling actually chose to turn back the way she came. This made their hearts tremble. Why did you come back?" The Empress's expression was ugly. "Grandma, my parents are already gone. I can't leave Grandma behind and leave," Lan Qingling said with a determined look. "Ari, silly child, you." The Empress sighed deeply, and then asked doubtfully, Where's that human friend? I've already asked him to escape with water jade bead to find his companions. I believe Big Brother Yi will be able to find the rest of the mermaid clan. Lan Qingling smiled faintly and said, Grandma, I will show you that I have never fallen behind in my cultivation for so many days. All right, since they are all here, let's kill our way out together. Let them know that the mermaid clan will never surrender. The Empress knew that it was too late now. If she let Lan Qingling hide again, she would probably attract attention. She could only force her way out and see if she could escape. She still hoped that Lan Qingling would be able to escape from here, so she paid special attention to the situation here. Pretty gutsy, huh? Cloud-chasing demon master sneered, but this girl looks pretty good. She looks a little similar to the former empress I used as an offering. Seems like she is the mermaid clan's princess. I wonder what will happen if I use her as an offering. I will kill you. Lan Qingling's blue eyes were filled with anger and killing intent, completely different from the innocent expression she had before. There are too many people who want to kill me. You won't make much of a difference. Cloud-chasing demon master charged over, waving a pearl in his hand. It was a medium-grade saint artifact, and it immediately bloomed with dazzling sparks. Empress, I broke your fishtail last time. This time, I will destroy your entire body. Let's see how you can escape. Let's see what you got. The Empress's eyes turned cold, and she fearlessly attacked with her spear. Suddenly, the inside of the sea whale turned into a battlefield, and everyone was fighting crazily. Lan Qingling also joined the battle, fighting with her companions at the front. She did not look like a princess, but a brave mermaid warrior. When they were fighting fiercely, a figure slowly walked out from behind, holding a blue crystal ball in his hand. It was the water jade bead. When everyone saw it, they immediately stopped fighting and retreated to the side, looking at the human in front of them in disbelief. Didn't you want this water jade bead? The one holding the water jade bead was Yi Tianyun. He walked out step by step, and his eyes swept over the battlefield. The battle had not been long, and there were no casualties. It was still in a stalemate. A human. Cloud-chasing demon master's eyes narrowed. Haha, I did not expect the water jade bead to be in the hands of a human. Very good, very good. Human lad, as long as you give me the water jade bead, not only will I let you live, but I will also give you a lot of treasures, and a few beautiful mermaids to serve you. What do you think of this deal? Cloud-chasing demon master knew the thoughts of humans. They were existences whose eyes lit up when they saw benefits. With just a little bit of enticement, they would immediately come to him. Chapter 762. This reward is not bad, but I need a higher reward. This is not enough to satisfy me. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. Elder Bo and the rest narrowed their eyes. If the other party offered a higher reward, wouldn't they really hand over the water jade bead? You can't hand it over, Elder Bo shouted anxiously. He was filled with regret. He had led a wolf into the house. The queen and the rest were disappointed. They did not expect that the human who healed them would still be greedy. Bastard, to think that the princess trusted you so much. You actually. Fatty Hai was furious. The hand that he pointed at Yi Tianyun was trembling. Lankingling stared at Yi Tianyun with her beautiful blue eyes. She was confused as to why Yi Tianyun would say such a thing. You shut up. It's his choice now. If you dare to make a move, don't blame me for being impolite. Cloud-chasing demon master pointed at Elder Bo and laughed at Yi Tianyun. What is your request? Just tell me. As long as it's not too much, I can satisfy you. Cloud-chasing demon master laughed in his heart. He liked this kind of greedy human. He would agree on all the conditions first and then kill him later. Promises were *T to him. It was normal to go back on his words after everything was settled. He did not expect things to go so smoothly. After getting the water jade bead so easily, he would definitely be a great hero. I'm not a greedy person. For example, I just want the lives of all of you here. I don't want much. I just want your lives. How about that? Yi Tianyun smiled evilly. This bastard was from the evil spirit race. Even if he brought over a few high-grade god equipment, he would not hesitate for even half a second. The evil spirit race was so cruel. Even if he gave him something good, he would not be able to spend it. Cloud-chasing demon master was furious. He did not expect the other party to be playing with him. He did not intend to hand over the water jade bead from the start. I knew that Big Brother Yi would not ask for any reward. Lan Qingling laughed, and the others relaxed. They thought that Yi Tianyun was really going to join them, but who would have thought that he was just toying with them? Yi Tianyun tossed the water jade bead in his hand to the side, and it landed in Lan Qingling's hands just like that. He then said calmly, "Since it's yours, you have to hold on to it properly. Don't let anyone else take it so easily in the future." This thing was given back just like that, as though it was a piece of trash. It was given back to Lan Qingling just like that. This action caused the Empress and the others to falter. No matter how stupid they were, they should know just how valuable this treasure was. However, this human before them had given it back just like that, and there was not the slightest hint of reluctance in his expression. This didn't seem like an act at all. "Big Brother Yi, why aren't you leaving? They will kill you." Lan Qingling shouted anxiously. "Didn't I say that I can deal with the Scarlet Demon clan? I can deal with these pieces of trash in an instant. If you had listened to me, you wouldn't have run away from the beginning. Then, you wouldn't have had to fight like this." Yi Tianyun shook his head. The Empress was instantly speechless. Wasn't this boasting a little too much? It was fine if he said it in front of his own people. At most, he would be criticized once or twice. But now, he said it in front of the enemy. Wasn't he afraid of angering the cloud-chasing demon master? "Brat, I didn't expect you humans to be so arrogant. How dare you say such big words? You even dared to fool me just now. Very well, I will start with you." Cloud-chasing demon master said angrily, "Call the scarlet demons outside in and clean this place up." Immediately, a guard rushed out and called for his companions to come in and help. However, not long after he went out, he immediately rushed back, and his face was pale. My lord, something bad has happened." The guard's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with terror as if he had seen a ghost. "What happened? Didn't I tell you to call for help?" Cloud-chasing demon master angrily slapped him, and the guard took a few steps back. "Outside, the guards outside are all dead," the guard said in horror. "What, all dead?" Cloud-chasing demon master and the others shouted in horror. Even the Empress and the others were shocked. Could it be that the mermaid race has some kind of reinforcement? That's impossible. The other races can't even take care of themselves, so how could they help? Cloud-chasing demon master's expression was ugly. On the other hand, the Empress's situation was much better. They didn't know who came to help, but in short, it was a very good situation. There's no need to guess. They were all settled by me. It took a little time. Yi Tianyun said calmly, "The Scarlet Demon race, TSK, colluded with the evil spirit race, and even moved Ascension Altar away. Let me go and check what exactly is going on." You did it." Everyone looked at him in shock. They really didn't believe it, thinking that he was boasting. "All right, don't be so surprised. I'll spare your life. The rest can die now." Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and flicked. Peng, peng, peng. Sounds were heard. Everyone saw the bodies of the Scarlet Demon race explode, turning into clouds of blood mist. Not even a corpse was left. In the blink of an eye, not a single Scarlet Demon race was left, leaving only Cloud-chasing Demon Master, isolated and helpless. This scene left everyone dumbfounded, and they were instantly dumbfounded. Just a little bit of power and it immediately shocked everyone. Fatty Hai, who previously said that Yi Tianyun was boasting, was now shocked speechless. What is called power, this is it. A group of Scarlet Demon race was easily taken care of in the blink of an eye. It was extremely easy. They all thought that Yi Tianyun was boasting, but now it proved that he was not boasting at all. He had been telling the truth from the beginning, but they didn't believe him at all. His cultivation is so strong. The Empress and the others gasped, unable to wrap their heads around it. Big Brother, you can really take care of them. No wonder it sounded like the truth to me. I should believe in my own feelings. Lan Qingling clapped her hands happily, feeling extremely happy. She could tell that what Yi Tianyun said was the truth, but even her grandmother couldn't deal with it, so she couldn't believe it for a while. After all, telling the truth and being able to deal with it were two different things. For example, I can break through, this is the truth, but whether I can break through or not, this is another matter. It was the truth, but it didn't mean that it was effective. Now that he showed his hand, it was really a slap in the face. He had always been telling the truth, but they had always treated it as a lie. It was really melodramatic. If they really listened to Yi Tianyun, they wouldn't be in a hurry. They would have stayed where they were and waited for Yi Tianyun to go out and kill them all with a wave of his hand. It was just that they didn't believe it, and they didn't dare to believe it. If it was really boasting, who would bear the responsibility? Chapter 763. Killing all the scarlet beasts except for cloud-chasing Monster Master in just a few moves. This kind of terrifying power was really shocking. And now that he had cloud-chasing Demon Master under control, Lin Fan did not even need Lan Qingling to lead the way. He was the only one who could do it. Furthermore, it was much more accurate than Lan Qingling's guidance, and they were able to pass through easily. Tell me about the current situation of the Scarlet Beast clan. Yi Tianyun pointed his finger and signaled cloud-chasing Monster Master to tell him the current situation. He wasn't worried about the Mermaid clan. The Mermaid clan was a great hero and they were on his side. The Scarlet Beast clan has joined forces with the Evil Spirit clan to conquer the entire sea region. They will constantly capture other clans to sacrifice to the old ancestor so that he can become stronger and unify the entire mortal realm. Then, he will unify the other two realms and become the world of the Evil Spirit clan. Cloud-chasing Demon Master said it mechanically without missing a single word. He said it truthfully. The people on the side were dumbfounded. If it wasn't for the fact that Yi Tianyun had killed so many Scarlet Beast clan members, they would have thought that it was a conversation between two friends. Otherwise, why would he reveal so much information? Immediately, Yi Tianyun continued to ask other questions. He asked about everything, including the current situation of the Scarlet Beast clan. After asking clearly, he was very clear about the general situation. Just as he thought, the real mastermind was the Evil Spirit clan, not the Scarlet Beast clan. The Scarlet Beast clan was just an accomplice who wanted to dominate the entire sea region. The Evil Spirit clan had even infiltrated the upper echelons of the Scarlet Beast clan, so it was basically their own force. The original experts of the Scarlet Beast clan even acknowledged the Evil Spirit clan. How could they not help when there were benefits and top-notch martial arts? The mobile palace was created by the Evil Spirit clan. Their cultivation was amazing, at least at the Saint King stage. Logically speaking, it should be impossible for a Saint King stage expert to exist in the mortal realm. After he fixed the suppression divine rune, everything would return to how it was before. From the looks of it now, they should have a way to avoid the suppression. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such an astonishing powerhouse here. I didn't expect that there would be a fish that slipped through the net, and a very big one at that. Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. He was curious as to what kind of power the Scarlet Demon clan had to be able to move the Ascension Divine Altar. Without the strength of a Saint King stage or above, it was impossible to move it. Now, it seemed like this sea region was their paradise. A terrifying power was hiding here. It's possible that this region of the sea allowed them to avoid the suppression. Yi Tianyun made a simple guess. This sea region was a little strange, and it was very vast. With some tricks up his sleeve, he should be able to avoid the suppression. If they could really ignore all the suppression, they would have fallen long ago. This was the Evil Spirit race's Saint King stage powerhouse. Compared to them, who were only at the Spirit King stage, the Evil Spirit race's Evil Spirit race could easily crush them. But nothing happened. Everything was so peaceful. Thus, there was only one possibility. They didn't dare to leave the sea. It could even be said that they had just left the mountain not long ago. After all, the Ascension Divine Altar was moved a year ago, which proved that they had just left the mountain not long ago. So, they immediately spread their forces and dominated the sea region. After conquering the sea region, they could let other races kill them. Once they occupied the entire mortal world, the suppression would be broken, and the mortal world would immediately fall. After capturing cloud-chasing monster master, Yi Tianyun already knew most of the situation, but there were some deeper secrets that he still didn't know. For example, whether there were other evil spirit races forces or other conspiracies, these were all unknown. Only by killing them personally could he know everything. This evil spirit race and that Ascension Divine Altar, are they the foreign demon forces that the ancestor mentioned? The Empress asked when she saw that Yi Tianyun didn't ask any more questions. Yes, they are the foreign demon forces that infiltrated the major races to reproduce. Now that they moved the heaven-creating Divine King's Ascension Divine Altar to weaken the suppression, it's very likely that their old ancestor is hiding and doesn't dare to expose himself. Once exposed, they will be suppressed by the suppression and even suffer heavy injuries. This hidden force is basically above the Saint King stage. If we don't solve this problem, the races in this sea region will suffer a disaster. They are famous for devouring demons of other races. Apart from their own people, all other races will become their food, not a single one will be spared. Yi Tianyun looked at them and said truthfully, "They have the right to know the truth." Saint King stage, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their old ancestor once had this cultivation, but now that they had declined, there was no Saint King stage cultivator left. The strongest cultivator was only at the Void Spirit stage. You are the companions of the heaven-creating Divine King. In theory, we are on the same side. It's just that your situation isn't very good now. If they send some strong experts over, you will definitely die. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. You'd better find a place to settle down. I will give you some resources to settle down. It's best to form a group with other races. On the same side. What is your real identity? The Empress couldn't help but ask. The descendant of the heaven-creating Divine King. Yi Tianyun said straightforwardly. Greetings, young master. The Empress's face changed, and she hurriedly bowed down respectfully. Greetings, young master. Everyone else bowed respectfully to Yi Tianyun. They are very respectful to him. Yi Tianyun was confused by the situation, but he quickly understood what was going on. It seems like your old ancestor left some ancestral teachings? Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Yes, the old ancestor said that as long as you are the descendant of the heaven-creating Divine King, you will be our young master in the future. The Empress and the others didn't expect that the person they had been misunderstood would turn out to be the descendant of the heaven-creating Divine King, their future young master. However, they were absolutely convinced that the young master who had just saved their entire mermaid clan and possessed extremely powerful strength. Combining the two, they were truly convinced that Yi Tianyun was their young master. Otherwise, they really didn't want to admit that the old ancestor's teachings were useless. After all, that was built on the premise that he was trustworthy. If he came over to burn, kill, rob, or run away without even helping, he would be an idiot if he still addressed him as young master. So there's such a thing, then we are even more on the same side. Yi Tianyun glanced at the crowd and immediately smiled. It seems that he can take over this sea area. Chapter 764. After the incident had calmed down, the Empress immediately gave orders to reorganize the mermaid race, and arranged for the injured mermaids to rest. For now, there was no need to escape. With Yi Tianyun here, all he needed to do was rest. I didn't expect you to be our young master. Lan Qingling's beautiful eyes flickered as she sized up Yi Tianyun from head to toe. She then smiled and said, I really can't believe that the one who saved me is the young master. Lan Qingling circled around Yi Tianyun, feeling that everything was so magical. Before this, she had thought that he was an enemy. But now, not only was he her benefactor, he was also her young master. The ancestors of the mermaid clan were really loyal to the heaven-creating Divine King. They were even willing to pass down such ancestral teachings. It should be said that the ancestors knew how powerful the heaven-creating Divine King was, and they believed that the successor would definitely not be bad, so if he followed them, he would definitely not be bad. The water jade bead was a gift from the heaven-creating Divine King, and this alone was enough. The ancestor of the mermaid clan immediately knew that there would be meat to eat with the heaven-creating Divine King. How could he not immediately curry favor with a middle-tier god artifact just because he said so? However, It was not the heaven-creating divine king who could forge medium-grade divine weapons, but the sky-sealing divine king. The king of the heavens was a creator-level blacksmith. The heaven-creating divine king had asked the king of the heavens to help forge it. I didn't think of that either. Yi Tianyun smiled. He also didn't think that such a thing would happen. He didn't expect that the mermaid race would trust the heaven-creating divine king so much. Then, young master, when will you set off for the Scarlet Demon clan? Lan Qingling asked worriedly. Yes, I'm ready. I'll be heading over after making some arrangements. Yi Tianyun nodded his head. The mermaid clan needed to discuss their plans. They didn't need their help to kill their way into the Scarlet Goblin clan. Yi Tianyun was enough. What he needed was a detailed plan from the mermaid race. He needed the mermaid race to rule over all the races in the sea. The Heavenly Cloud's empire was enough on the land, and the sea was an empty space. Only after occupying both sides would the mortal world truly be at ease. The heavenly realm and the netherworld can be slower, but the mortal world must be unified. The situation in the mortal realm was the weakest, so they needed to unite even more. At that time, they would be able to better deal with the evil spirit race. He had thought that the evil spirit race had only infiltrated the heaven realm and the netherworld. Who would have thought that the mortal realm had already infiltrated and had even taken root in the sea? As for the details of the situation, it was up to him to investigate. Young master, do you need me to lead the way? Lan Qingling's face was filled with excitement. It was obvious that she wanted to help out. What do you think? Yi Tianyun took a look at cloud-chasing demon master beside him. Lan Qingling's face fell immediately. If they were to compare leading the way, she would definitely not be as good as cloud-chasing demon master. Cloud-chasing demon master stood at the side, unable to move. His eyes were filled with fear, but he could not say a word. He was conscious, but he couldn't speak or move. This was what terrified him the most. He could control her at will and say whatever she wanted him to. Such a mystical manipulation technique shocked the mermaid race. If they were controlled, wouldn't they have to say everything? Fortunately, Yi Tianyun was her young master. This matter was not their turn yet. But I want to help. The Scarlet Demon race captured my parents. I want to take revenge. Lan Qingling's eyes were filled with hatred and determination. I can understand your feelings, but with your current cultivation, you won't be of much help. Yi Tianyun rejected her heartlessly. Previously, he had agreed to bring her along because Lan Qingling knew the way. But now, it was different. With cloud-chasing demon master leading the way, there was no need for her to lead the way. This would be very risky. He did not know what the situation was over there, but it was better to be careful. After hearing this, Lan Qingling was like a deflated balloon. She immediately became dispirited and her eyes were filled with unwillingness. The Scarlet Demon race is not what you really need to take revenge on. The Scarlet Demon race is just cannon fodder. The real enemy is the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and gently touched her head. This is a memory for you. It contains some martial arts. The most important thing for you now is to cultivate well and improve your cultivation. Rule the sea area with your grandma. Find all the evil spirit race hiding in the sea area. I have already taught you the method to identify them. You can explain it to the Empress later. This is a difficult task, and I can't do it alone. This was true. He chose to unify not because he had absolute power. But when all the forces belonged to him or listened to his orders, he could interrogate them one by one and quickly spread out in all directions to find the evil spirit race. Even if the heaven-creating divine king and the others had amazing strength, they could not find all the places. If the whole mortal realm was covered with his forces, it would undoubtedly be much easier to find them. If there was anything amiss, he would ferociously dig it out and send people to completely eradicate it, or let him do it himself. After absorbing the memory, Lan Qingling's blue eyes flashed with a bit of determination. Okay, I know. I will definitely do this well. I will rule the whole sea area. Ding, Lan Qingling became a general, gained 5 million EXP, 100,000 crazy point. Yi Tianyun smiled. This was an unexpected harvest. He didn't expect Lan Qingling to recognize him so much. Then he will train her well. After settling everything, he immediately left with Cloud chasing Demon Master and did not stay any longer. He hoped that the mermaid race would do what he told them to do. You are dead. Even if you can find the heaven ascending divine altar, you will never be able to take it away. When the time comes, our patriarch will definitely kill you and devour you. Hurry up and leave no bones behind. We have a lot of powerful identities and powerful helpers. Don't talk about killing your way in, you won't even be able to enter the door. Cloud chasing Demon Master, who has recovered his ability to speak, started to spew nonsense all the way. Yi Tianyun just stood there silently, listening to Cloud chasing Demon Master's words. Powerful helpers, tell me the information about powerful helpers. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Although the eyes of charm could control people, it couldn't search their memories. So if Yi Tianyun didn't ask, Cloud chasing Demon Master wouldn't say anything at all. It's the Water Dragon Empire's great emperor. They are willing to cooperate with us. They want to use our power to suppress the Heavenly Cloud's empire. In return, they need to pass on the information from the outside world and listen to our instructions. They don't know that the Water Dragon Empire will be sucked dry by us in the end. They are a group of stupid humans. Chapter 765. Sure enough, they joined forces with the human race to control the sea area, and then they want to control the imperial forces on the land through other imperial forces. Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. Sure enough, some forces couldn't hold back their ambitions and wanted to capture the Heavenly Cloud's empire. It seemed that the Water Dragon Empire was doomed. He had heard about the Water Dragon Empire. It was ranked in the top 8, not too high nor too low. They had always been relatively low-key. Who would have thought that they would have such ambition? They even dared to think about wiping out their own empire and replacing it. The key was that cooperating with the evil spirit race was tantamount to a traitor to the human race and even the three realms. He didn't believe that the people of the Water Dragon Empire didn't know about the situation of the evil spirit race. This kind of race was willing to cooperate with them, which proved how crazy they were. Yi Tianyun's eyes were full of killing intent. This kind of traitor should be eliminated completely. You are dead. Don't try to get any information from me. I can't reveal any information to you this time. Just give up. Cloud chasing Demon Master shouted when he found that he could speak again. Don't worry, I don't intend to get too much information from you. You are just a small character. What kind of information can you get? Yi Tianyun looked at him coldly. He didn't know a lot of important information, such as where the old ancestor was hiding before, or if there were other important bases. He didn't say a word. He was just a small character. When Cloud chasing Demon Master opened his mouth and wanted to refute something, he found that he couldn't speak anymore. Yi Tianyun was too lazy to listen to him. No matter what kind of conspiracy it was, he just needed to punch it. No wonder they gave such an amazing reward. It seems that this trip won't be easy. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. The amazing reward of the main quest meant that it would be difficult to regain control this time. Under the guidance of Cloud chasing Demon Master, they quickly swam to Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. According to Cloud chasing Demon Master, Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was now their base. No matter what it was controlled. For example, those creator-level divine runes were all controlled. This meant that the phantom in Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was basically suppressed. It seemed that the opponent this time was quite difficult, but it wasn't too difficult for him. Unless a God King appeared, everything else was trash. With his astonishing speed, he soon arrived at the territory of the Scarlet Demon Tribe, the Underground Abyss. As expected, this area was quite difficult to find. If no one led the way, he would have to spend a lot of effort to find this place. Not only was the place remote, but it was also very deep. It was in the depths of a huge crack. Looking down from above, it was dark and unfathomable. Even the water source was much colder than above. It felt like they had entered a world of ice and snow. Ding! Elephant Tiger Empire successfully became an ally. Reward, 1 billion EXP, 10,000 crazy point, 10. 000 SPS, 10. 000 proficiency, can be assigned to any place that requires proficiency. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. Just as he was about to attack, he heard the latest news. It seemed that dragging the Empire into an alliance would give him quite a good reward, which was unexpected. This proved that Shi Xueyun and the others had been working very hard. If this were to continue, he would be able to level up once he roped in most of the forces. I'm not fighting alone, I have a group of reliable companions supporting me. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. For them, he should protect everything. Immediately, he dragged cloud-chasing Demon Master and swam down quickly. At the same time, he concealed his aura and quietly hid behind. As long as it wasn't a super expert, it was impossible to discover his existence. As he went deeper and deeper, finally a familiar figure appeared in front of him. The huge heaven-ascending divine altar stood at the bottom of the abyss. There were countless ice here, and it was quite cold. However, the Scarlet Demon tribe wasn't worried. They had water and fire attributes in their body, so they weren't afraid of this cold. There were many Scarlet Demon tribe members guarding the heaven-ascending divine altar, looking around vigilantly. Although it was very remote, they didn't relax their vigilance and were all patrolling the edge. Who is it? When cloud-chasing Demon Master just came down, a guard immediately pointed his weapon at him. When he saw that it was cloud-chasing Demon Master, he immediately said respectfully, "It turned out to be cloud-chasing Demon Master, you came back so quickly?" "I came back to report some matters." Cloud-chasing Demon Master waved his hand. These were all controlled by Yi Tianyun. He could control everything. Yes. Without any hesitation, the guards immediately made way for Cloud-chasing Demon Master to enter. Cloud-chasing Demon Master's cultivation wasn't very high, but it was considered very good here, so the guards were still very respectful. However, a moment later, Cloud-chasing Demon Master suddenly went crazy and slashed at the guards beside him with his weapon. The guards didn't even have time to react before many of them were slashed to death. Cloud-chasing Demon Master, what's wrong with you? Cloud-chasing Demon Master is crazy, he betrayed us. Quick, stop him, call for reinforcements. All of them shouted and dodged to the side as if they had gone crazy. These guards' cultivation was too low, and they couldn't compare to Cloud-chasing Demon Master. Soon, some people came out of the heaven-ascending divine altar to support them. The first one who came out was a four-armed Scarlet Demon clan. Cloud-chasing Demon Master, are you crazy? Cloud-chasing Demon Master kept roaring in his heart. I'm not crazy, someone made me crazy, but he couldn't say it out loud. When he saw the person rushing out, he immediately raised his weapon and fought with his companions who rushed out. The situation outside quickly affected the inside. Many experts rushed out, all of them were Void Spirit Stage experts. Even the Spirit King Stage Scarlet Demon clan rushed out. He didn't expect the Scarlet Demon clan's strength to be so amazing, but each of them had 4 arms, which proved that they all had the bloodline of the Evil Spirit clan. They didn't hide at all, unlike the heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation, who only showed the appearance of the Evil Spirit clan when they burst out. From the beginning, they didn't hide at all. At the same time, Yi Tianyun's figure flashed and disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared inside the heaven-ascending divine altar. It was undeniable that this place was under control, but it was still the heaven-ascending divine altar. At this time, there was no one inside, everyone was attracted by the situation outside. In fact, he could have killed all the way in, but he needed to know the details of the situation inside. Who exactly had the ability to control this heaven ascension divine altar? Chapter 766. After Yi Tianyun sneaked in, he immediately went deep inside. He was too familiar with this place. Every heaven ascension divine altar was exactly the same, there was no difference at all. So as soon as he came in, he entered the secret passage and easily avoided the patrol of other guards. In less than a moment, he went out from the other end, and his figure flashed in front of a group of guards. No one could see his movements. His speed was too fast, and the guards here couldn't see him at all. At most, they could feel a gust of wind blowing past them. I wonder who is controlling this heaven ascension altar. Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. To be able to suppress the spirits here and control the environment here, it was impossible without a certain level of ability. He really wanted to see who it was, or which expert from the evil spirit race it was. He hid his figure and quickly flew towards the control panel. The deeper he went, the fewer guards there were. It was basically impossible to break in here. If someone could break in, it meant that they were powerful, so there was no need to set up any protection. When Yi Tianyun passed by a room, he immediately stopped and quietly squatted to the side, blending with the wall so that no one could see him. He just stood there, listening to the sound inside. Hey, it seems that there is a situation outside. The water dragon Great Emperor frowned and stood up. Don't worry about it, it should be a small matter. Let's continue talking. The person opposite to him was an old man, who looked very ordinary, no different from the ordinary old man outside. However, the guards next to the old man stood respectfully next to him, and each of them was at the Spirit King stage, which was enough to prove that this seemingly ordinary old man was not a mortal. An old man who could sit in front of a great emperor couldn't be simple. Lord Kangming, now that the Heavenly Clouds Empire has begun to spread its power crazily, we must join that bullshit alliance. If we don't join, we will be punished. It seems that the Heavenly Clouds Empire wants to rule the entire mortal world. If you don't take action now, not only our Water Dragon Empire, but even the other empires will be conquered. The Water Dragon Great Emperor said angrily. The Heavenly Clouds Empire is too overbearing. I don't know where they got so many weapons and so many demonic beasts. If this goes on, there will be no place for our Water Dragon Empire. If he joined the alliance, he would definitely have to listen to Yi Tianyun's orders, and someone would arrange for him to take up a position in the empire. It would be equivalent to being monitored, and it would not be convenient for them to move around. If Yi Tianyun interfered in the affairs of the other empires, he would definitely cause them to be disgusted. Therefore, he would use martial arts to make them submit. In fact, the effect was very obvious. The fact that there were empires coming over immediately was the best proof. He wouldn't interfere too much. Everything would operate according to the previous situation. He would only send someone to pass on the message. Once something happened, he would immediately send someone to give instructions. It was that simple. He didn't care about anything else. He wasn't that interested. If they want to pull you into their alliance, then you should join them. Elder Kang Ming smiled faintly. Isn't this exactly what we want? They could easily mingle with them, and when the time came, it would be even easier to plant their forces in their empire. You can even say that it would be easier to capture some cultivators. Do you understand what I mean? But they will arrange for people to come over and take over some things. Our every move will be known. The Water Dragon Great Emperor knew that there were many benefits, but it was definitely not a good feeling to be monitored. That's easy. I will give you some soul-enchanting poison to make him delirious. Wouldn't everything be solved? Elder Kang Ming smiled and took out a bottle of something and put it in front of him. The Water Dragon Great Emperor's eyes lit up. Is there such an amazing poison? It can control others at will and make them listen to your orders? Of course. To us, nothing is impossible. Old man Kang Ming said, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. I will do my best to support you from behind. Find an opportunity to kill the Heavenly Clouds Empire's Great Emperor, and this new force will soon collapse. It's just a new empire, and its foundation is not stable. Once the Great Emperor dies, it will immediately fall into chaos. That's for sure. That Great Emperor is a nouveau riche, and he is just relying on his power to kill people. If he dies, the Heavenly Clouds Empire will definitely collapse. The Water Dragon Great Emperor said with strong killing intent in his eyes. How could he not be jealous of Heavenly Clouds Empire that easily? He hated himself for not having such a strong power, and he also wanted to be so domineering. All of them submitted to him, not daring to resist. It's just that the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor is very elusive, and we don't know where he went. It's too difficult to assassinate him, and he is also very strong. He might be at the peak of the Spirit King stage. The Water Dragon Great Emperor shook his head again as he thought about it. If he doesn't have some ability, how can he become an emperor? Elder Kang Ming said indifferently. If he dares to come to the sea, I will kill him. If you can't deal with him, try to lure him here, and we will deal with him. Of course, who doesn't know Lord Kang Ming's ability? The Water Dragon Great Emperor said with a smile. By the way, we can capture his trusted aides. I heard that some of them have a good relationship with him. As long as we capture them as hostages, we will definitely be able to lure him here. Alright, we can't leave this sea, so you will be the one to do it. As long as you can lure him here, it will be a success. Elder Kang Ming said. From now on, you will be in charge of the land, and we will control the sea. We will support each other. Of course, of course. The Water Dragon Great Emperor was excited. This was the result he wanted. How could he not be excited to rule all the continents? If there is no problem, I want to implement it as soon as possible, Elder Kang Ming said. Also, did you send people to destroy the passage between the heavenly realm and the underworld? Yes, but it is very difficult to destroy it, especially the heavenly realm. Just as we tried to destroy it, a strong expert intercepted us. We didn't know who it was, but more than half of our people died. The Water Dragon Great Emperor shook his head, feeling very annoyed. At all costs, you must destroy the 2 passages, understand? Elder Kang Ming's eyes turned cold, and his aura surged out. The Water Dragon Great Emperor was pushed back a few steps, and almost fell to the ground. Understood. The Water Dragon Great Emperor's back was drenched in cold sweat. Chapter 767. As soon as Yi Tianyun came in, he heard such heavy news. From their conversation, he could tell that they had made a deal before, and it wasn't just once or twice. Especially when he heard that they wanted to capture the people around him to threaten him, an astonishing killing intent surged in his heart. He always had a principle: if they came for him, it didn't matter. But if his family or friends were involved, then it would be equivalent to killing his entire family. Now, in his heart, the Water Dragon Empire had become a target of destruction, especially for a traitor. But they didn't know Yi Tianyun's good intentions. In order to make the mortal world safer, he formed an alliance. Moreover, he could tell that they already had a cooperative relationship before he formed this alliance. This proved that the Water Dragon Great Emperor and the others were so ambitious that they were willing to collude with the evil spirit race. It seems that I have to strengthen my guard in this area. I didn't know that the evil spirit race existed in the mortal world before. Before he came to this sea area, he really didn't know that the evil spirit race existed here, and they were very powerful. The old man in front of him had reached the 7th level of the Saint King stage, which was unbelievable. How could there be such a strong cultivator in the mortal world? In fact, it existed just like that. It wasn't suppressed at all, and it looked pretty good here. Yi Tianyun could feel that there was indeed no pressure in this area. Because he was a guardian, he was not suppressed at all. It didn't mean that he couldn't sense the suppression. There was no suppression here. It should be some kind of treasure or some kind of power that was resisting it. Kang Ming's previous words were very clear. If he could leave this sea area, he would have been able to suppress all forces. It's just that he couldn't go up now unless he destroyed the power of the 2 passages, so the suppression effect would be greatly weakened. It was just weakened, but it didn't mean that it didn't exist. But after being weakened, they could easily leave this sea area by relying on their strength. At that time, the mortal world would immediately fall into a crisis. They wouldn't need to rely on external demon reinforcements. Their current strength was enough to suppress the mortal world. Originally, the heaven-creating Divine King and the others created this suppression to make the resource-scarce mortal world safer, so that there wouldn't be so many powerful forces here. Otherwise, no one would have food to eat, and the resources wouldn't be able to support those experts. They would definitely be sent to the heaven realm or the underworld. Now that most of the experts had left, the strongest was only at the Spirit King stage. If a Saint King stage expert came out, everything would be over. Very quickly, they finished discussing the plan. It was to have the Water Dragon Emperor strengthen the destruction of the 2 tunnels and lure him over to the sea region. Don't worry, I will definitely do it well. The Water Dragon Emperor smiled as he walked out. Just as he walked out, a figure appeared in front of him. He subconsciously looked up and immediately met a pair of eyes. The next moment, he felt his consciousness disappear, as if he had been sucked into a whirlpool. Water Dragon Emperor, what's wrong? A guard at the side looked at the Water Dragon Emperor with a look of disgust. Although they were working with the Water Dragon Emperor, they still hated the human race. Or rather, they hated any other race besides themselves. He was even more annoyed that he was blocking the way here. Nothing, I just want to eat something. I will definitely complete Lord Kang Ming's task. The Water Dragon Emperor smiled and turned to leave. Kang Ming walked out of the tunnel and looked in front of him. Why did I feel someone here just now? Kang Ming frowned, but he didn't think much about it. He turned around and walked forward. After he disappeared, a figure gradually appeared. Who else could it be but Yi Tianyun? After he controlled the Water Dragon Emperor, Yi Tianyun immediately went invisible to avoid being seen by Kang Ming. Fortunately, the Water Dragon Emperor's cultivation was at the 4th layer of Spirit King stage. As for the Demon Master Cloud Chaser, he was already dead outside. Let me see where you are going. Yi Tianyun's eyes became cold. He continued to hide his body and followed the old man. He wanted to see where the old man was going. He completely concealed his aura and followed them silently. The other party had no idea who was behind him. Soon, under the lead of Kang Ming, Yi Tianyun arrived at the core area of the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. There were countless divine runes in this area, all of which could control the divine runes in all areas of the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. Open the door, Kang Ming shouted. Rumble, the heavy door in front of him slowly opened. The door was very hard, even a Saint King stage expert would find it difficult to break it. However, with a shout from him, the door was easily opened. Yi Tianyun frowned and didn't follow Kang Ming. After all, he would be exposed if he followed Kang Ming. If he got too close, it would be easy to be discovered. Immediately, the door slowly closed and returned to its previous state. But Yi Tianyun wasn't worried. He just stuck close to the door and used his appraisal eye to penetrate the wall. The divine runes on the wall couldn't stop him from penetrating it, so he could easily see the situation inside. After probing inside, Yi Tianyun immediately got a panoramic view of the situation inside. After Kang Ming walked up, he said in a deep voice, "Kang Ming, how is your control?" In front of Kang Ming was the evil spirit race, and it was a real evil spirit race. It had 2 arms on its back and 2 arms on its front. Its whole body was pitch black, like a black crystal. Its cultivation had reached the 6th layer of the Saint King stage, similar to Kang Ming. The key was that this was the original state of the evil spirit race, and it hadn't undergone reproduction with other races. Unexpectedly, there was still a fish that escaped the net. Almost there, I basically have control over it. If I hadn't devoured so many descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King, I wouldn't have been able to control this thing. Kang Ming said in a harsh voice. If you continue to catch more descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King, you can easily deceive the heaven-ascending Divine Altar. Yes, I have already ordered people to catch them, but it's not easy to find the descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King. There are too few of them in the mortal world, and there should be more in the underworld. If I hadn't seen who the descendants of the heaven-creating Divine King were, it would have been really difficult to catch them. Kang Ming sneered. When the heaven-ascending Divine Altar is completely controlled, the pressure will be greatly reduced. If the channel is destroyed, then we can basically leave this sea. Yes, we have been waiting for this day for too long. If it weren't for the treasures left by our ancestors, we would have been discovered. Moreover, we have to use the blood of our ancestors to ensure that our descendants can survive here. Kang Ming said angrily. Heaven-creating Divine King, King of the Heavens, and that damn ancient underworld God King, I must make their descendants die without a burial place. Chapter 768. Yi Tianyun has been thinking about how someone could control the heaven-ascending Divine Altar, unless it's the descendant of the heaven-creating Divine King. But how could the descendant of the heaven-creating Divine King come here and not die? This was the territory of the evil spirit race. If they came here, they would definitely die without a burial ground. It should be said that they would be devoured until not even their bones were left. Unexpectedly, they have such a special ability to devour the descendant of the heaven-creating Divine King and then absorb the blood essence for their own use. In this case, they can deceive the phantom. The phantom doesn't care about appearance, it only recognizes the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. After passing the test, it can obtain the right to inherit. Although Yi Tianyun has become the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, the priority is still the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, especially the heaven-ascending divine altar in the mortal world. So from the beginning, he couldn't contact the heaven-ascending divine altar here, otherwise he would have sensed the teleportation formation here. It should be suppressed by the evil spirit race with a treasure, cutting off the power of the heaven-ascending divine altar. Without any power, the effect of blocking was definitely minimal. After being controlled, it is even easier to move the heaven-ascending divine altar away. Although the heaven-ascending divine altar is huge, as long as there are enough sea monsters or a lot of experts, it can be moved away. The premise is that the heaven-ascending divine altar doesn't resist, then it can be easily moved away. Otherwise, if it is forcibly moved, it will trigger the attack of the heaven-ascending divine altar. Even a Saint King stage expert will be killed. Who knew that the evil spirit race would capture the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king and devour them to gain control? This method is really cruel, it makes him angry. Listening to what they said, they can also see who is the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. This is simply terrifying. No wonder the heaven-creating divine king's empire was destroyed so quickly. Without a strong force to protect it, it was easily destroyed by the evil spirit race left here. The heaven-sealing divine kingdom is different. It has a special power to suppress the evil spirit race. Once they get close, they will be destroyed. The heaven-creating divine king was not selfish enough, otherwise his divine kingdom would not have been destroyed. Yi Tianyun inferred that it is very likely that it was destroyed by the evil spirit race, but the heaven-ascending divine altar of the underworld is a bit more shocking and uncontrollable. After all, the Nether Heaven divine kingdom has been controlling it for a long time. Very good, very good. This is really a big gain. Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold, and his heart was cold. Originally, he came to heaven-ascending divine altar, but now that he could destroy one of the oldest forces, how could he not make a profit? But he is not in a rush, he wants to hear what is going on inside. That's for sure. The injuries that the three great god kings gave us must be avenged. However, the three realms are all ours. When the time comes, all lives will submit to us. We can devour them whenever we want. Kang Ming laughed heartily and said, "It's almost done. You haven't even absorbed the blood essence from before. This time, I've caught two descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. It's just that the bloodline is quite thin, just a trace at most. Tian Yang Dragon Race, Yang Ascending Realm, Ascending Demon King, Clan Dragon of Clan has, the Master's Clan Dragon has to sect, clan. Yang of the clan, sect, king, sect, Yang, clan, god, sect. Okay. Kang Ming old man waved his hand and two figures were thrown to the ground. One was from the mermaid race and the other was from the heavenly monster race. Only the evil spirit race has the ability to recognize the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king, and the scarlet demon race definitely can't recognize them. Most of the evil spirit race can't leave the sea, so they can only capture people in this area. The descendants of the heaven-creating divine king have a good relationship with the races in the sea, so it is normal for them to marry. Therefore, it is not strange for them to have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king. However, the density of the bloodline is quite low, basically negligible. For the evil spirit race, as long as it is the power of the bloodline, it does not matter how much it is, they just need to absorb it. As long as they can accumulate it bit by bit, it is enough. There are very few people who have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king. It is already very good if they can get close to it. Therefore, they can only accumulate a lot. It seems that the phantom made the wrong judgment, it must have devoured a lot of people. Don't devour me, don't devour me. The heavenly monster race is as timid as a mouse and immediately shrunk into a ball. However, they are all tied up and can't even escape. The mermaid race girl looked at them coldly and said, "If you want to kill us, then kill us. The Empress will definitely avenge us." The mermaid race's character is completely opposite. They are worthy of being the first to kill, they always have a fearless heart. No wonder the heaven-creating divine king would ask the king of the heavens to help him forge a middle-grade divine tool. This is a very high reward. Low-grade divine tools are very rare, so a middle-grade divine tool is even more enviable. The Empress will avenge you. Kang Ming sneered. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance to see it. Soon, your Empress will be captured. Her bloodline is one of the more concentrated ones, you can't miss it. At that time, your arrogant Empress will also become our food. TSK, I think it will taste delicious, right? Impossible. The Empress won't be captured by you two devils, the mermaid race girl shouted angrily. She won't admit to their words. You won't know that. Soon, you will become my meal. Kang Yun looked at her and sneered. I plan to eat you first. I like to eat those who are not afraid of death the most. I can listen to their screams and their heartbeats as I swallow them bit by bit. It's really delicious. Pervert. The mermaid race girl's face paled and her delicate body trembled slightly. Just thinking about it was terrifying. That's the effect. Continue to curse me. Kang Yun stretched out his hand and grabbed the mermaid race girl. He lifted her up and placed her on his head. When he opened his mouth, his sharp teeth glinted coldly. It will definitely be delicious. I like to eat the mermaid race. The Empress will definitely avenge me. Kill all of you devils. Kill all of you. The mermaid race girl shouted loudly. Don't worry. She will accompany you soon. Just as he was about to let go, a cold light flashed from the side. Then, both of his arms were cut off and a pillar of blood spurted out. While he was in pain, the mermaid race girl fell to the ground. However, she did not fall into his mouth. Instead, she was carried over by a figure. Chapter 769. The sudden change startled both of them, especially Kang Yun. His two arms were easily cut off and black blood sprayed out, causing steam to rise from where it landed. The ground was visibly corroded by the blood, which was enough to show how terrifying the corrosive power of this blood was. However, the corrosion soon stopped and at the same time, the two arms began to grow crazily and gradually began to restore their original appearance. This level of healing ability was simply unimaginable. However, an ordinary Saint King stage master did have the ability to heal a severed arm, but they wouldn't be able to recover as quickly as Kang Yun. How did you get in here? Kang Ming and Kang Yun's faces were gloomy as they looked around. The door was still closed and hadn't opened. If Kang Ming hadn't opened the door for Kang Yun, he wouldn't have been able to enter at all. Only by smashing the door for 10 days or half a month would he be able to break in. Now that the door was intact and hadn't been opened, someone had already come in. It was really strange. Yi Tianyun had come in through teleportation, so of course, no one would be able to notice him. He could easily come in, any barrier was nothing to him. For other masters who could use space teleportation, they would definitely be envious to the point of vomiting blood. They wouldn't be able to teleport in because they would definitely be blocked by the divine runes on the door. This was a divine skill, so how could it be so easily blocked? The mermaid girl in Yi Tianyun's arms was dumbfounded. She thought she was going to die, but suddenly a human had rushed in and saved her. Although she hated humans, at this moment, her heart was filled with gratitude. If someone could save her, she wouldn't have any problem giving herself to them. However, Yi Tianyun pushed her to the side and slowly landed on the ground. Holding the evil spirit divine sword in his hand, he said indifferently, "You don't need to know how I came in, dead people don't need to know too much. Go." Kang Ming and Kang Yun didn't say a word. They had already finished gathering their strength and in the next moment, two thick arms quickly emerged from Kang Ming's back. His originally kind face immediately turned into a ferocious demon. At the same time, Yang Kai's body also grew several times in size, transforming into a giant. At the same time, the power of a Saint King stage 7th layer Saint King stage burst out. It was the same for Kang Yun. His severed arm did not regrow immediately, but it did not stop him from growing bigger and turning into a four-armed giant. After becoming bigger, the arm's recovery speed became even more astonishing. In the next moment, Kang Yun formed a seal with his hands, and the entire hall shone with dazzling light. The divine rune formation was activated, and countless sharp swords formed from spiritual energy emerged from the surroundings, forming a large circle. Every single one of them was extraordinarily powerful, and they were all comparable to the attack of a primary stage Saint King. Sang-yoon was the ruler of this place, so it was not surprising that he could control the formation here. Although he only controlled the 7th and 8th floors, it was enough for him. I don't know how you snuck in, but the result of breaking in is death. Kang-yoon was furious. He hadn't expected that his arm would be chopped off in a moment of carelessness. How could he swallow this insult? To be able to sneak in without anyone noticing, this person's cultivation is definitely not simple. Quickly kill him. Kang Ming's eyes were filled with caution. He suspected that Yi Tianyun had snuck in, and this kind of concealment technique that even he couldn't detect meant that his cultivation was definitely not weak. However, he did not make a move. In his opinion, since Kang Yoon was in control of the formation, everything was already set in stone. I'm not in a hurry to kill him. I'm going to eat him up one bite at a time. The higher his cultivation, the better it will be for me. Kang Yoon laughed cruelly. Do you think that you've succeeded just because you snuck in? Since you've entered my territory, you should just obediently wait for your death, foolish human. He stretched out his hand and pointed gently. Countless sharp swords pierced towards Yi Tianyun from all directions. If he couldn't block them, they would turn him into a sieve. The young mermaid's face was pale. She wanted to help, but she couldn't. As for the heavenly demon tribe, they had already curled up into a ball and were hiding, not daring to move. Under the watchful eyes of the two powerful cultivators, countless sharp swords pierced through the air. Yi Tianyun stood motionless, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. Don't! The young mermaid screamed and covered her eyes. She was a little sad. She didn't know Yi Tianyun, but he had saved her, so she sympathized with him. What's going on? Kang Yoon and the others were shocked. The young mermaid slowly opened her palm. What came into view were countless sharp swords that stopped less than half a meter in front of Yi Tianyun. They couldn't go any further. Your territory? Who told you that this is your territory? When I stand here, this is my territory. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and pointed. In an instant, the surrounding sharp swords turned around and pointed towards them. You are the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. No, that's not right. You are the successor of the heaven-creating divine king. Kang Yoon and the others screamed, but it was too late. Countless sharp swords pierced through the air and hit their bodies, causing terrifying explosions. In an instant, a dazzling light bloomed in the hall, so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. The young mermaid and the heavenly monster tribesmen were dragged to the side, so this attack didn't affect them. After the explosion, the two evil spirit race powerhouses came into view again. There was not a single piece of flesh on their bodies that was intact. Kang Yoon's leg was blown off. He hadn't recovered from his previous injuries, so it was naturally a little difficult for him to resist. Kang Ming wasn't much better. His body was full of potholes, and his condition was quite serious. With so many crazy swords, the most they could achieve was the strength of a Saint King stage first layer cultivator. However, there were too many of them, and they couldn't block so many of them. Even divine tools were brought out, but it was useless. How could the great array arranged by the heaven-creating divine king be so easy to deal with? However, everything was under Yi Tianyun's control. The moment he came in, he immediately communicated with the Phantom and forcibly seized control of this place. It was undeniable that Kang Yoon had the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king's descendant, but he was a pure descendant, so he definitely had priority over the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. Since the descendant was a disciple of the heaven-creating divine king, he definitely had priority over the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. If you answer correctly, I can reward you with a good death. Yi Tianyun held the evil spirit divine sword and looked at them coldly. He sneered and said, also, I will kill all the Scarlet Demon clan members here, and the rest of you. I want all of you to disappear from this world. You are simply polluting the environment of the three realms. Chapter 770. The eyes of the two evil spirit race powerhouses were filled with horror. Their cultivation wasn't low, but they were in the core area now. The power of the core area far exceeded the power of the other areas, so the power of the attack was quite terrifying. This was just the initial attack, and they could still use more power to attack. It can be said that if they lost control, they would definitely die. Even if the controller was many times weaker than them, only at void spirit stage. Once they gained control, even Saint King stage powerhouses would definitely die here. After all, there was a power that could restrain them, and that was the ultimate light attribute power that could easily penetrate their defenses. After destroying their bodies, it would be very difficult to recover. Now that there were gates blocking their escape route, and they lost control, wouldn't that mean that they could only wait for death? Human, don't be impulsive. Everything can be discussed. I can help you become the absolute king of the mortal world. You can sit on any great emperor's throne, and that heavenly cloud's empire, I can let you replace it and become the strongest great emperor. Kang Ming shouted in horror. They didn't want to die, and they wanted to try to use the greed of the human race. The water dragon great emperor was ambitious, but he didn't have enough power, so he could only turn to the evil spirit race for help. The heavenly cloud's empire's great emperor? Yi Tianyun laughed. Yes. As long as you are willing to let us go and join us, you can become the strongest great emperor in the mortal world. We can't leave the sea, so don't worry about us interfering with you. Kang Ming said hurriedly. Do you know who I am? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Yes, who are you? They don't know who Yi Tianyun is, but he's already pissed them off. The heavenly cloud's great emperor. As soon as he said that, Yi Tianyun slashed his sword, and the evil spirit soul opened its huge mouth to devour them, and in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of them. When they reacted, the attack was already in front of them, and they hurriedly dodged to the side. Kang Ming could still dodge, but Kang Yun was seriously injured, so he couldn't dodge quickly. With a miserable shriek, he was devoured by the evil spirit soul. This evil spirit soul looked similar to them, but in the end, it was devoured by their own power. It was really ironic. Kang Ming had barely managed to dodge the attack, but half of his body had been bitten off by the evil spirit's soul and half of his body was gone. Ding! Successfully killed Kang Yun. Reward, 3 billion EXP, 350,000 crazy point, 13,000 SPS obtained. Soul of an evil spirit, rare. Bloodline of an evil spirit, rare. Bone of an evil spirit, rare. 50x experience card, 1 million experience pill. There were quite a lot of items that dropped, but there were no weapons. Overall, it was better than before. The 3,000 points of prestige that he had obtained previously must have increased the effect. After Kang Yun was devoured by the evil spirit, he was devoured until nothing was left. He was killed without the slightest bit of mercy. If he stayed, he wouldn't be able to get anything out of him, so he might as well just kill him. After losing half of his body, Kang Ming fell directly to the ground, and blood kept spurting out. Although the bleeding had stopped, his heart was still full of fear. They couldn't even block a single sword strike, and this wasn't even relying on the power of heaven ascending divine altar, but relying on their own power to suppress themselves. Aren't you being suppressed? Kang Ming shouted in horror. Aren't you a little forgetful? I told you before that I am the successor of the heaven-creating divine king. Do you think I will be suppressed by the power here? Yi Tianyun sneered. No wonder. So you are the heavenly cloud's great emperor. No wonder you can become the strongest great emperor and the successor of the heaven-creating divine king. Ha ha ha. Kang Ming laughed, thinking that everything was so ridiculous, but he wasn't laughing at Yi Tianyun, he was laughing at himself. He didn't expect that the heavenly cloud's great emperor that he had painstakingly tried to kill was the young man in front of him. The key was that he was the successor of the heaven-creating divine king. Have you said your last words? Yi Tianyun walked in front of him step by step. Do you think you have a good chance of winning? Do you think you can kill us? You don't know how much power we have in the three realms, and you don't know anything about the outside world. You are just a group of people struggling at death's door. Sooner or later, the three realms will be devoured by us. Kang Ming's eyes were cold, and he didn't look like he was begging for mercy before. They were just pretending to deceive Yi Tianyun so that they would be easily fooled. In their hearts, there was no fear of death, only endless greed and anger. They wanted to destroy the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king and devour all the lives in the three realms to become their fertilizer. Why are you so obsessed with the three realms? Is there no other life outside? Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. Hehe, you are too naive to ask this question. Because the three realms is weak, idiot. Kang Ming said sarcastically, thinking that everything was so ridiculous. Poochie. Yi Tianyun slashed down with his sword and cut Kang Ming in half, but Kang Ming didn't die from the blow. It is true that the three realms is weak, but you can rest assured that I will kill as many as you come. After I break through to the God King realm, I will personally go to your evil spirit race's territory and wipe you all out. Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold, he was not afraid at all. The three realms was weak. Yi Tianyun didn't need Kang Ming to say this, he already knew that. If the three realms was strong, the evil spirit race wouldn't have dared to invade them. You. Kang Ming's eyes were still cold and full of disdain, he felt that Yi Tianyun was overestimating himself. Yes, I am. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, those who offend the three realms will be killed no matter how far they are. As soon as Yi Tianyun said that, he didn't wait for Kang Ming to say anything and stabbed him with his sword. Ding. Successfully killed Kang Ming. Reward, 5 billion EXP, 380. 000 CPS, 150. 000 SPS. Reward, Evil Spirit Soul, Rare, Evil Spirit Bloodline, Rare, Evil Spirit Bone, Rare. Reward, Evil Spirit Divine Sword, Low-Grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Divine Armor, Low-Grade Divine Tool, Evil Spirit Boots, Low-Grade Divine Tool. After killing him, Yi Tianyun got a whole set of Divine Tool. Chapter 771. After killing two old ancestor-level characters, Yi Tianyun's heart is still heavy. As Kang Ming said before, they have many forces hidden in the three realms. Only when they are exposed will they know whether they are evil spirit race or not. Most people would not be able to see it with the naked eye. Only if they were injured and their blood would they be able to tell. Upgrade Appraisal Eye, it should be easy to identify them. Yi Tianyun knows how to identify them, and the Appraisal Eye is a good way to do it. Although he can detect a lot of things, there are still many things that he can't detect. For example, the extremely detailed bloodline power is not so easy to detect. He believes that as long as he upgrades Appraisal Eye, he can definitely find out who is evil spirit race. It seems that there is an urgent need to upgrade Appraisal Eye, but it needs a lot of crazy points. 50 million crazy points is really a lot. But for him now, it is not difficult to upgrade Appraisal Eye. Successfully completed main quest: find the Heaven Ascension Temple in the mortal world and gain control of it. Reward, 20 million EXP, 150 million crazy point. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 5th layer Saint King stage. After obtaining the EXP, he immediately leveled up to 5th layer Saint King stage, plus he killed so many strong evil spirit race experts. With this, he will be able to break through to God King stage, but even so, he feels that it is just the beginning. After all, some of the evil spirit race's powerhouses had reached level 6 or level 7 of the Immortal King stage. How could they be defeated so easily? Successfully accepted main quest: unify the mortal world and eradicate all evil spirit race experts. Reward, 40 million crazy points, 5 million SPS points, 500,000 crazy point. And get a new title, King of the Mortal World. Just what I wanted. Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. The main quest is very much in line with what he wanted. His original intention was to unify the mortal world and eradicate all the evil spirit race, returning peace to the mortal world. Immediately, the phantom reappeared in his sight. It is a little girl, no different from other Heaven Ascension Temple. Master, the phantom respectfully greeted. You've been deceived by these guys, do you know that? Yi Tianyun frowned and asked. After investigation, they have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king, and they have a lot of it. Moreover, they have passed certain tests and gained control over it. The phantom replied very rigidly. Yi Tianyun felt very helpless. It was indeed worthy of being the most rigid phantom. If it was a tool spirit, it would be a different story. The heaven-ascending divine altar was not a divine artifact, so there was no artifact spirit, only the rules left by the heaven-creating divine king. It was just that the rules had harmed them. As long as the conditions were met, they could obtain control. It was simply ridiculous. If the heaven-ascending divine altar was a divine tool, then it would be very powerful. The problem was that it wasn't a divine artifact, which was why it ended up like this. Forget it, I can't be bothered to talk to you. At that time, the heaven-creating divine king didn't expect that the evil spirit race could have this kind of ability. Yi Tianyun shook his head. Who would have thought that the evil spirit race could devour blood and turn it into his own? This was similar to absorbing the blood essence of the Phoenix clan. The more he absorbed, the stronger he would become. However, there was always a limit to absorbing the blood of other races. He couldn't keep on absorbing like crazy. After reaching a certain limit, if he continued to absorb it, he would be completely crippled. After all, it was impossible to change them completely, unless they were descendants of the Phoenix race and had the corresponding bloodline. This could only be called a bloodline awakening, a phenomenon of atavism. If there wasn't even a tiny bit of it, he wouldn't be able to crazily absorb it. If he exceeded it, his body would explode. The evil spirit race did not have this restriction. They could continue to devour and replenish their bloodline. It could even be used. It was simply heaven-defying. However, there was still a limit. It was just that this limit was relatively large. Every race had their own talents, and it was up to them to discover them. Yi Tianyun didn't think that there was anything wrong with the human race. It was just that they were extremely balanced in all aspects. Once they aimed at a certain direction, the effect would be quite shocking. For example, humans could become blacksmiths, divine inscriptionists, and so on. Basically, anything was possible. After switching to the mermaid race, blacksmiths were not good enough. At most, they were divine pattern masters. The reason was simple. Their attributes clashed. The water attribute could not be used for forging, nor could it be used for alchemy. The human race was balanced in all aspects and developed in all aspects. The evil spirit race's restrictions were relatively greater, and it was easy to be locked up. However, there was too little information. Yi Tianyun didn't know how many other races there were, but he believed that there would definitely be even more heaven-defying existences. The evil spirit race was probably just the beginning. The more heaven-defying ones would probably make one speechless. It's about time. Yi Tianyun slowly opened his eyes. After he obtained control, he fully investigated all the areas to see if there were any other people who had been captured. After careful investigation, he discovered that there were indeed people, and there were quite a few of them. There was an area in the heaven-ascending divine altar that was basically filled with all kinds of races. They didn't have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king, but they could be used as food for the evil spirit race. Therefore, they would capture many with good talent. The weak were prey to the strong. Yi Tianyun understood this principle. If the three realms were to be devoured by the evil spirit race, he wouldn't have any complaints. He could only say that he was too weak. However, if he was alive, he couldn't let this happen. Only those who were stronger could survive in this world. Slaughter, begin. Yi Tianyun attacked without hesitation. In an instant, the divine runes inside the heaven-ascending divine altar erupted. Countless light pillars pierced through the walls, completely piercing through the scarlet demon race who were staying inside. Many of the scarlet demon race didn't even have time to react before they were turned into sieves and died. Especially the evil spirit race, they were even more roasted. They definitely wouldn't leave behind a single breath. In the blink of an eye, the entire heaven-ascending divine altar blossomed with dazzling light, startling the guards outside. They didn't know what was going on. But soon, it was their turn. Countless light pillars pierced through the outside of the heaven-ascending divine altar and easily killed those guards. These guards' cultivation was relatively low, so killing them was effortless. In less than a short period of time, they were all completely dead. What happened? Many cultivators in the prison looked outside in horror. All of a sudden, the guards outside were dead. No one knew what had happened. You are free. Go back to where you were captured from. Chapter 772. Yi Tianyun personally came to rescue them and spread the word that he was a companion of the mermaid race. He did this to pave the way for the mermaid race and build up their reputation. This way, more people would be willing to join the mermaid race, and there would not be too much rejection. All of them were extremely grateful. If Yi Tianyun did not come to rescue them, they would definitely be eaten. Their favorability immediately skyrocketed. After they got out, they would definitely spread the news of what happened here. The mermaid beside him proved that they were indeed in cahoots with each other, which could serve as a proof. The mermaid did not even know what had happened before she was dragged over. After Yi Tianyun sent the mermaid out, he said, "When you go back, remember to tell Princess Blue that the situation here is over. It seems that there is no need for that." He looked up and saw that it was Lan Qingling who was swimming over quickly. Who else could it be? He didn't expect that this little lass would secretly follow him. She was a princess, but she was putting herself in danger. It was really irrational. "Princess." When the mermaid saw Lan Qingling coming over, her eyes immediately widened. "Little you, this is great. You are fine." Lan Qingling swam over excitedly and hugged her. "Yes, I am fine. If it was not for this benefactor who saved me, I would have been eaten up." Surviving a disaster made her cry. How could she not be frightened when she encountered such a thing at such a young age? "He is the young master of our mermaid race." Lan Qingling smiled and looked over at Yi Tianyun, but Yi Tianyun reached out and knocked her on the head. "Why did you come here? Don't you know that it is dangerous here?" Yi Tianyun glared at her. The future of the mermaid race depended on her. "I just came for a stroll. What if the young master is in danger?" Lan Qingling rubbed her head and smiled embarrassedly. "I am fine now. I will hide far away and just watch from afar. But the young master is really amazing. He really took over this place. All right, there's no need to say anything more." Yi Tianyun felt warmth in his heart. For her to care about him, it definitely made him happy. "Now I will give you a mission, and that is to move this heaven-ascending altar out and drag it back to its original place. Do you have any ideas?" The heaven-ascending divine altar was so big, it was impossible for him to do it alone, and he couldn't change his size either. It was truly a headache. If he didn't move it back, the heaven-ascending god altar's teleportation array would be useless. "Young master, this matter is very simple. We just need to find a few sea whales and we can drag this heaven ascension divine altar away." Back then, the Scarlet Demon clan relied on the sea whale to drag it away. As long as we don't need to escape, we can find the sea whale to drag the heaven ascension altar away. Lan Qingling patted her chest and said, "Just leave this matter to us. There won't be a problem. As long as you tell us where it is, we will definitely drag it there for you." Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, and said with a smile, "Very good, then I will leave this matter to you. Just drag this heaven-ascending divine altar to Devil Cloud Island. If anyone disturbs you, kill without mercy." At the end of his words, his eyes were extremely cold. Many cultivators wanted to capture the mermaid clan, in order to sell them for a good price. If they passed by, they would definitely rush down to hunt. But don't worry, even if you don't make a move, this heaven-ascending divine altar will protect you. Yi Tianyun smiled. Later, he will give the order to protect the mermaid clan. Whoever hurts them, he will take the initiative to attack. They can also hide in it, and will not be attacked. "No problem, I guarantee that this matter will be done well." Lan Qingling felt that there was something to do, and immediately became excited. She just wanted to do something for Yi Tianyun. She wanted to repay Yi Tianyun. It was that simple, she had no other thoughts. "Very good, now I will leave this matter to you. I have to kill my way to their lair and behead all the evil spirit race." A cold light flashed in the depth of his eyes, and his killing intent surged. "Young master, do you know where their lair is?" Lan Qingling exclaimed. They had no idea where their lair was. "Of course I know, otherwise, how could I become your young master?" Yi Tianyun flicked his finger, and two figures appeared behind him. One was the Water Dragon Emperor, the other was the evil spirit race's Spirit King stage powerhouse. The Water Dragon Emperor was not clear, but the evil spirit race's Spirit King stage powerhouse was much stronger than cloud-chasing Demon Master, so he definitely knew where the evil spirit race's Spirit King stage powerhouse was. Both of them were under his control, so finding their lair was really not difficult. After that, Yi Qianyun quickly took the two of them to the hidden lair of the evil spirit race, and at the same time, he dug out everything about them. The Water Dragon Emperor wanted to ask all the forces that colluded with the evil spirit race. The evil spirit race's task was simple, he just wanted to know the details of their plan and the location of their lair. The two of them couldn't struggle, so they could only answer honestly, which made them feel terrified. Water Dragon Emperor, I didn't expect you to be so courageous. Don't you know that once the evil spirit race breaks out, the entire mortal world will be ruled by them? Yi Qianyun's eyes were full of killing intent. I don't know. After the Water Dragon Emperor regained his ability to speak, he immediately struggled and said, Heavenly Cloud's great Emperor, please let me go. I was blinded by greed. Blinded by greed, you want to capture my people to threaten me? Blinded by greed, you want the mortal world to be ruled by the evil spirit race? Yi Qianyun sneered and said, Then I will also be blinded by greed, and I will let you fight the evil spirit race, and finally sacrifice yourself there. I am very optimistic about you. The Water Dragon Emperor was about to cry. When he recognized Yi Qianyun, he was scared out of his wits, and the key point was that he couldn't move. This time, he finally knew how powerful Yi Qianyun was, or rather, very powerful, he could easily control them. As for the other two evil spirit race powerhouses, he didn't even bother to let them speak. He already asked everything he needed to know, and there was nothing more to say to these garbage. I really didn't expect that the remaining forces of the evil spirit race would be so strong. There are 5 Saint King stage powerhouses, which is much stronger than ordinary divine nations. Yi Qianyun asked about the general information. Including Kang Yun and Yi Qianyun, there were 5 Saint King stage powerhouses, and they were all in the late stage. To be able to cultivate to this level, it meant that they must have devoured many lives to achieve this level of power. Chapter 773. Under the guidance of the evil spirit race's powerhouse, they have been madly twisting and turning, but no matter how many twists and turns, they are mainly underground. It turned out that the underground abyss was already quite deep, but they didn't expect that there was a passage leading to a deeper area. If their cultivation is too low, they really can't even go down, and the deeper they go, the colder it gets. Without a certain level of cultivation, they really can't go down. This place is really hidden. The deeper we go, the weaker the suppression power of the heaven-creating divine king. Yi Qianyun roughly knows why they can escape the suppression. The heaven-creating divine king is a divine king, but he is not strong enough to control the power of all areas. It is impossible to cover every corner. The depths of the sea is the best proof, so they can survive and hide. I heard that you have a treasure that can avoid this suppression. What kind of treasure is it? Yi Qianyun turned his head and asked the evil spirit race's powerhouse. It is a treasure left by our ancestors, called the heaven-devouring divine treasure. It belongs to the level of a mid-rank divine tool. As long as you release this treasure, you can avoid all kinds of laws, and even the detection of powerhouses. The evil spirit race's powerhouse said truthfully. Avoid the detection of powerhouses. Could it be? Yi Qianyun's heart sank. He roughly knew why the primitive evil spirit race still exists. It was not completely destroyed. The heaven-creating divine king and the others searched inside and out, but with such a treasure, can't they easily hide? It seems that you survived a lot because of this treasure, right? Yi Qianyun asked. Yes, the heaven-creating divine king and the others joined forces to search for our existence. Because of this treasure, they can escape the disaster. It's just that the power released later made us not dare to go out. Once we go out, we will be attacked. The evil spirit race's powerhouse told the truth. Yi Qianyun nodded. For a normal cultivator, it is just to suppress their cultivation and force them to leave this area. For the evil spirit race, it is the power of heaven's punishment. This is equivalent to being stared at by countless pairs of eyes in the sky. Once discovered, the evil spirit race will immediately be killed. This kind of power, even the evil spirit race at the Saint King stage would be afraid of it. Logically speaking, with this treasure, you should be able to send some of your experts out. Yi Qianyun frowned and asked. We are worried that there are still divine king-level existences outside, so we do not dare to casually go out. Once we are discovered, Our most primitive existence will be destroyed. The evil spirit race said. Yi Tianyun frowned. Only a few mixed-blood evil spirit races were able to leave this area without being suppressed. As for these primitive experts, they would definitely die if they went out. In the heaven realm or the netherworld, the suppression wasn't as strong. It wasn't that they didn't want to do so, but that it was more difficult to set up these powers in different regions. It wasn't that easy to set them up. The reason the mortal realm was able to set up rule power was largely because it was relatively small and weak. It was not as huge as the other two regions. Only then would it be easier and less difficult to control. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the mortal realm. It was equivalent to a mortal body. There was no absolute power here. No matter what, this time the remnants of the mortal realm will definitely die. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. There was a bit of anger and unwillingness in the eyes of the evil spirit race's expert, but he couldn't resist and could only lead Yi Tianyun to the secret area. As they continued to go deeper, the surroundings became colder and colder, and even a familiar feeling emerged, heavenly yin fire. There is a familiar feeling of heavenly yin fire here. It is very likely that there are countless heavenly yin fire below, and they rely on heavenly yin fire to cultivate. The physique of the evil spirit race is originally cold, so it is not surprising that they use heavenly yin fire to cultivate. You also devour heavenly yin fire? Yi Tianyun asked again. Yes, devouring heavenly yin fire is helpful for our cultivation. It can also suppress the yang qi that emerges when we absorb other life forms. The evil spirit race's expert said. Sure enough, immortal fire is their absolute nemesis. As long as they use immortal fire, their resistance will be greatly reduced. Yi Tianyun feels that the reason why they prioritized eradicating the phoenix race is not because the phoenix race's bloodline is amazing, but because they don't want the existence of the phoenix race to threaten them. A lot of information gradually surfaced, and many things can be traced, causing people's heart to tremble. Very good. The corner of Yi Tianyun's mouth hooked into a trace of a sneer. No matter what, the remnants of the mortal realm will be eradicated today. After continuing to go deeper for half an hour, they have already reached the bottom, and the heavenly yin fire has begun to appear all around, burning in the water, freezing the surrounding environment. There is a large piece of ice here. It is bone-piercing cold. It is obvious that this passage was deliberately dug, in order to be more hidden, the deeper the better. When preparing to approach, Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. There is a thick layer of black barrier in front of him, and the appraisal eye immediately showed detailed information. Heaven-devouring divine artifact, mid-rank divine artifact, can devour the power of heaven and earth, and can even avoid the power of god-kings. The heaven-devouring divine artifact can not only devour the power of heaven and earth, but also the power of all life, turning it into its own. At the same time, it can transform into a thick shield, which can resist the fatal attacks of ordinary god-kings. It can also resist the attacks of god-kings. This mid-rank divine artifact is really powerful. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. The gap between a low-rank divine artifact and a mid-rank divine artifact is amazing. It is like comparing an ordinary iron to a divine artifact. What if it is a high-rank divine artifact? He has not seen a high-rank divine artifact yet. If there is a high-rank divine artifact, wouldn't it be equivalent to an existence that can destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth? He looked at the shield. It can resist the fatal attacks of a god-king, but it can only resist 1 or 2 attacks. It does not mean that it can resist continuous attacks. This thing is not that fierce. Even if it can, it needs an astonishing amount of energy to maintain. It is simply a pipe dream for a few Saint King stage powerhouses to resist the attacks of a God King stage powerhouse by relying on a treasure. If he were to attack, he would probably need to attack a few more times before he could break through the defense of this shield. Yi Tianyun glanced at the evil spirit race powerhouse next to him. If he is here, there is no need to break the shield. Spirit King stage powerhouses often come and go to this area, mainly to provide more cultivators as food. Therefore, relying on the evil spirit race powerhouse, it is very easy to enter. Your treasure is very good, but I will have to rely on you to enter. Work hard. Yi Tianyun reached out and patted the evil spirit race powerhouse on the shoulder. Chapter 774. The evil spirit race ranker took the lead and flew over. The water dragon emperor was dragged over by him and hid at the side. The evil spirit race rancor definitely could not bring outsiders in, no matter who it was. Thus, in order to make the other party relax their vigilance, the Water Dragon Emperor definitely could not go over with them. Yi Tianyun hid at the side and controlled the evil spirit race rancor to fly over and open the barrier. Just as the evil spirit race rancor flew over, a low voice sounded out from inside. You're back so soon. Have you settled the matters at the Heaven Ascension Divine Altar? A low voice sounded. Yes, it's almost done. I'm here to offer you a fresh tribute. The evil spirit race rancor said respectfully. Fresh tribute? Didn't I already deliver it before? Even though he said that, the barrier still quickly opened, revealing a hole for the evil spirit race rancor to enter. Taking advantage of this moment, Yi Tianyun's figure swept past the barrier in one fell swoop. He didn't even need to hide and directly charged in. It could be said that he was extremely bold. Just as he charged in, he saw a huge palace built inside, surrounded by heavenly yin fire. From here, the palace seemed to be in the middle of the heavenly yin fire. The heavenly yin fire was constantly being absorbed by the palace, as if it was being consumed bit by bit. Other than that, there was nothing special about it. It was just a huge palace that looked incomparably eerie. The Water Dragon Emperor charged in along with him. He definitely wanted the Water Dragon Emperor to come in. It was no problem for him to be alone, but he wanted the Water Dragon Emperor to fight fiercely and then die here. It was equivalent to giving the Water Dragon Emperor a punishment. Human race. A roar immediately came from inside the palace. Yu Kang, what's going on with you? Why did you bring 2 humans in? If they were tributes, they would definitely be tied up. Now that they were not tied up, coupled with their aura, it was obvious that they were not normal tributes. Yi Tianyun could not be bothered with him. He brought his men and charged into the palace without any obstruction. Their defense was the heaven-devouring divine treasure outside, which was more effective than any treasure or divine rune. Once it was broken, they wouldn't have any defenses to speak of, and they would be able to easily kill their way in. When he stepped into the palace, the scene that greeted his eyes caused Yi Tianyun's heart to burn with rage. There were only children here, and they were all girls in their teens. The key was that some of their bellies were big, which meant that they were pregnant, and it was all caused by these beasts. In addition to these children, there was also a pile of bones on the side. At a glance, it was obvious that they were the bones of children. It was obvious that those who could not conceive the evil spirit race's children would definitely be devoured. Such a vicious evil spirit race caused the anger in Yi Tianyun's heart to soar to the sky. He stared straight at the 3 evil spirit races at the front with a strong killing intent. He was still holding a child in his hand, but he had already been half-eaten and was on the verge of death. The other 2 were lying in the pool of blood. It was unknown how many children's blood had gathered to form them. The appearance of Yi Tianyun and the Water Dragon Emperor made the 3 evil spirit race old ancestors stand up one after another. They looked at Yi Tianyun and the Water Dragon Emperor indifferently. Their eyes were full of dissatisfaction, but they did not panic at all. For them, this was their territory, and there was no need to worry about Yi Tianyun running away. The shield outside had been closed again, so there was no problem. In addition, they had absolute confidence in their own strength. All 3 of them were Saint King stage powerhouses, and their cultivation was at the 8th or 9th layer. The strongest one was at the peak of the Saint King stage, and was about to enter the God King stage. Hey, he actually has the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king? They sat up in surprise and looked up and down at Yi Tianyun. One of them smiled and said, Yu Kang, the tribute you brought back is really good. Although I hate the descendants of the king of the heavens very much, I still like eating their descendant. Yes. If we can go out, we will definitely go to the heaven world and eat all the descendants of the king of the heavens. We have eaten most of the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king, right? Evil Sky Soul smiled and couldn't help licking his lips, looking at Yi Tianyun with eyes full of desire. It was not that Yi Tianyun was very tempting, but they wanted to eat the descendants of the king of the heavens to vent their hatred. What about the other one? He doesn't have any bloodline, he is just an ordinary human, but his cultivation is not bad, so he can eat whatever he wants. Evil Sky Soul looked at the Water Dragon Emperor. Devouring masters with good cultivation was also beneficial to them. The three of them really did not see the anger in Yi Tianyun's eyes. They have been thinking about who to eat first, or who to eat first. Activate crazy damage mode. Activate the full power of the evil spirit set. Activate the full power of the ancient desolate set. Activate the power of the dragon god bloodline. Activate the power of the phoenix bloodline. Almost all of his power was activated in an instant, and with a bang, a terrifying power soared into the sky, penetrating the palace above in one fell swoop, and hit the shield in the sky, continuously hitting the thick shield. The terrifying power swept around, causing the three evil spirit race powerhouses to jump in fright. All six of their arms waved quickly holding their weapons in their hands, and looked at Yi Tianyun vigilantly. What kind of power is this? They were all shocked. Previously they felt that Yi Tianyun's aura was relatively ordinary, and they thought that his cultivation was relatively low, but now it seemed that they were very wrong. It was not that Yi Tianyun's cultivation was too low, but that his power was far beyond them, so they could not clearly sense it. The huge evil spirits descended in this palace just like that. It was more like a demon than them, but even if it was a demon, Yi Tianyun would not do such a disgusting thing. Looking at the piles of corpses, as well as the girls of many races lying on the side, everything was so disgusting, it made him extremely angry. No wonder there were other races of evil spirit race. It turned out that this group of beasts forced them to reproduce for themselves. Boom! Yi Tianyun stepped on the ground and rushed forward. The ancient desolate set instantly erupted with amazing speed. Combined with the power of the Phoenix bloodline, his speed suddenly exploded. Xiao was the strongest peak Saint King stage powerhouse among them. At most they could only see an afterimage. In the next moment, he appeared in front of evil Jade Spirit, who was eating a child before, and the first one he killed was evil Jade Spirit. An extreme sword light flashed in front of them, and before evil Jade Spirit could understand what was going on, bang, all of his arms and legs were cut off, and at the same time, black flames madly burned his body. First one, finish him. Yi Tianyun's voice was much colder than the heavenly yin fire on the side. Chapter 775. Yi Tianyun didn't kill evil Jade Soul, he just cut off all his limbs and used the immortal fire to devour and burn them bit by bit. In this way, even if their regenerative ability was extremely strong, they couldn't easily recover. Under a little bit of burning, even if they could resist, it would be difficult for their limbs to recover. No, it should be said that they all had 8 limbs now, plus the 4 extra arms that grew later. They had 6 arms. This was a symbol of extreme strength. However, such a symbol of strength was nothing but a pile of trash to him. Before, when the heavenly netherworld Holy King had reached the peak Saint King level, he was only at the Saint King stage, but he was still able to suppress the heavenly netherworld Holy King. Now he was much stronger than before, reaching the 5th layer of the Saint King stage, and with the support of the ancient desolate set, he could easily crush everything. He was invincible under the God King stage. No one could resist his suppression. From the beginning, he didn't care about the 3 people in front of him. Even if a God King stage powerhouse came, he was confident that he could fight them. Kill. As expected of an old ancestor-level character, they instantly controlled the heaven-devouring divine treasure to envelop them, without the slightest panic in their hearts. After all, there was no point in panicking, and it wouldn't help them avoid the crisis. The power of the Saint King stage peak erupted, and the heaven-devouring divine treasure shrouded Yi Tianyun completely. They wanted to completely seal Yi Tianyun inside and suck him dry. But before they could do anything, Yi Tianyun's figure had already disappeared. The two of them only saw a flash of black sword light, and immediately felt a chill all over their body. The next moment, they lost all feeling in their limbs, and all they could feel was the severe pain that constantly spread throughout their bodies. In addition, there was also the terrifying immortal fire nibbling away at their bodies bit by bit, burning them at a slow pace. At this pace, it would take at least a few days to completely burn them to death. If they continued to frantically restore their bodies, then the burning process would definitely last a little longer, and there was even a possibility that they would be extinguished. The immortal fire was not really indestructible, it just burned for a long time, and if there was enough power to suppress the immortal fire, it would still be extinguished. Ha ha ha, in the end, he was still caught by us. His strength is good, but so what? Didn't we catch him? Suck him dry. I never thought that there would be such an expert in the mortal world. As expected of the descendant of the King of the Heavens. Isn't this power a little too terrifying? They fell to the ground, their bodies in extreme pain, but when they saw Yi Tianyun inside the heaven-devouring divine treasure, they all revealed mocking smiles. As long as one was trapped in the heaven-devouring divine treasure, as long as one wasn't a God King stage expert, they would definitely be sucked dry. The Water Dragon Emperor and the evil spirit race powerhouses who were captured were overjoyed. If Yi Tianyun died, wouldn't they regain their freedom? There was no need to describe the feeling of being controlled all the time. It was absolutely unforgettable. It would have been fine if they had been controlled and could not remember anything. However, their consciousness was very clear and they could even know his every move. Who did you say you caught? A ghostly voice sounded from their side, making them turn their heads in fear. When they saw Yi Tianyun standing behind them, they were completely scared out of their wits. The key point was that Yi Tianyun was clearly trapped inside the heaven-devouring divine treasure. How could there be someone else outside? Naturally, the one trapped inside was Yi Tianyun's doppelganger. At the moment when the other party used the heaven-devouring divine treasure to attack, Yi Tianyun instantly created a doppelganger and let them throw their attacks at the doppelganger. He didn't know if he could teleport through, but for safety's sake, he left a doppelganger behind and teleported behind them to watch the good show. In the next moment, before they could recover from their shock, he took out the other two weapons and stabbed them fiercely, nailing them to the ground. Most importantly, he sealed their powers. Even if a Saint King stage powerhouse lost his limbs, he could still use his spiritual power to attack or move. Especially the evil spirit race, who knows what other abilities they have. He had to make sure that everything was foolproof. He couldn't afford to be careless. Once he was careless, he might die. Although he still had a life, who would be willing to let himself die? 3 divine-level weapons nailed them to the ground. With these divine-level weapons in hand, even if they had amazing strength, they still couldn't lift the suppression of this terrifying power. So many divine-level weapons, when the 3 of them felt that their power was being suppressed, their eyes were filled with despair, which meant that they couldn't resist. Without the support of power, the heaven-devouring divine treasure shrank and returned to a black pearl floating in the air. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and sucked the black pearl over. The heaven-devouring divine treasure struggled a bit, but without the support of its master, it couldn't escape his suction force. Heaven-devouring divine treasure, mid-grade divine tool, it's really a good treasure. I'll take this thing, it can be used as a defensive treasure. Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. This trip was not bad, there were pitifully few mid-grade divine tools, he could easily obtain one here. The 3 of them were angered to the point of vomiting blood. Not only were they easily controlled, they had even had all of their treasures taken away. How could they not be angered to the point of vomiting blood? If you have the ability, kill us. We definitely won't frown. The 3 of them were not afraid at all. There was not a single trace of fear in their eyes. They were not afraid of death at all. To them, if they were discovered, they could die at any time. Especially since they had been hiding here all this time, there was no sense of freedom at all. It was better to die. Kill you. Yi Tianyun laughed coldly. That would be too easy on you. I will watch you burn to death here, burn to death bit by bit. Atone for everyone, and for the people here. His anger had not been extinguished. Many of the girls present had already lost all signs of life. Some were dead, and some were already in despair. However, there were some who were still alive. When they saw the situation, their eyes flickered and tears streamed down their faces. They couldn't speak because their tongues had long since been cut off. Other than crying, there was nothing else they could do. They were breeding tools. What a terrifying evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun had already sworn that he would definitely exterminate the evil spirit race, completely erased from the 3 realms. Chapter 776. Ha ha ha, they are all a bunch of trash, a bunch of ants, taking revenge on us for their sake? Too naive, the weak are prey to the strong, don't you know this principle? That's right, you humans are really childish. All the weak are trash, trash that can be casually played with. If they die, then they die. It's their honor that we have taken a fancy to them. He, be angry, roar. If you have the ability, then kill us, you trash. They had been mocking Yi Tianyun the entire time, and were even teaching him a lesson. In essence, they wanted to provoke Yi Tianyun into killing them. They knew that it was impossible for them to survive. If they killed themselves quickly, they could still solve this painful torture. The feeling of being burned by the inextinguishable fire bit by bit was definitely not good. You guys are just trying to anger me so that I can kill you sooner. Yi Tianyun said expressionlessly, "Don't worry, I just said it, I will watch you burn to death bit by bit, no matter how many days you burn. But now I have a new idea, I will definitely make you suffer for a long, long time. However, there is one thing you are wrong about. The weak are prey to the strong, but there is one thing you will never understand, and that is the heart. You don't even have a heart, let alone a conscience." Yi Tianyun said indifferently, "If I tell you any more, it will all be a bunch of nonsense." After he finished speaking, he took out a treasure. It was the long life ring. When he placed this treasure here, it immediately released a strong recovery energy fluctuation. However, he had adjusted it, so the recovery effect would not be very strong. At most, it would not be more than 3 or 4 times, continuously nourishing the evil spirit race's ancestor. Their severed limbs began to quickly recover, bit by bit, and flesh began to grow. If the recovery speed increased, it would definitely continue to grow flesh. At the same time, Yi Tianyun threw out a few more balls of inextinguishable fire, burning their limbs even more intensely and painfully. Of course, the reason why Yi Tianyun released the long life ring was not to save them, but to let them burn a little longer. This was like an oil lamp that could continue burning without being completely burnt out. What is this thing? It actually increased our recovery speed. I curse you to die a horrible death, curse you to be completely devoured by our race. Arth. Our race will kill you and devour you all. They all let out incomparably painful screams. They were not afraid of death, but the feeling of being constantly burned was incomparably painful. The inextinguishable flame could even affect their souls, nibbling away bit by bit and burning them dry. However, Yi Tianyun wouldn't do that. He wouldn't let them off easily. He would torture them for at least a few months. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to quell the anger in his heart. The other two looked at this scene in horror. Yi Tianyun was clearly a human, but they felt that he was scarier than a demon. If they were in his shoes, they wouldn't be able to endure such torture. Then, Yi Tianyun ignored them. Instead, he turned around and walked towards the girls who were still alive. There were basically all kinds of races. The evil spirit race's idea was very simple. They wanted the evil spirit race to mix with all the races. The children that were born would be immediately nurtured. They needed absolute loyalty and would not change after mixing with other races. From birth, they would be nurtured to be absolute killing tools. Looking at the dozen or so girls tied to the wall, they were all pregnant with their vile spawn. If they weren't pregnant, they would have died a long time ago. It was simply too tragic. However, their gazes towards Yi Tianyun were filled with gratitude. They continuously shed tears and nodded at him to express their gratitude. Most of all, they wanted Yi Tianyun to give them a quick death. They couldn't speak, so they could only use their tears to express themselves. Yi Tianyun took out the longevity necklace and came to their side. With a light wave of his hand, a ray of light entered their bodies. Following that, the vile spawn in their stomachs was completely killed. At the same time, after activating the longevity necklace, the terrifying recovery power started to heal their wounds, and even their tongues. In the eyes of many cultivators, this was a waste. Such an astonishing recovery ability should have been used to heal others. These girls had all been tainted, and their cultivation levels weren't high. Most of them had been crippled, so saving them was useless. However, Yi Tianyun still chose to do so. He only wanted to make himself feel better. They had clearly done nothing wrong, yet they had encountered such a disgusting thing. As he fully activated the healing power, their tongues quickly grew back. Their cultivation was relatively low, so their recovery speed was a little faster. Powerful cultivators recovered a little slower. After all, their physiques were more astonishing, and they needed more energy to recover. Thank you, benefactor. Thank you, benefactor. But there's no need to save me, I don't want to live anymore. When they recovered their ability to speak, this was what most of their true thoughts were. The other was that they wanted to kill the evil spirit race with their own hands. Some of them even thought of committing suicide, wanting to die here. If you want to die, I won't stop you. Yi Tianyun looked at them and said in a deep voice, but do you want to take revenge? Yes. But benefactor, you've already done it for us, and you can do it even better. What they couldn't do was to make the evil spirit race's ancestor feel even more pain. At most, they could finish him off with a single slash, and they could only be greedy for a moment of pleasure. Before they were captured, they were all geniuses with decent talent. The ancestors of the evil spirit race definitely wanted the next generation to have stronger talent, not trash. Therefore, they would definitely capture geniuses to breed descendants. If they weren't geniuses, they wouldn't want them. Now, they were no different from trash. Their cultivation had been crippled and they had even been tainted. He felt incomparable despair in his heart, and even more so, he wanted to die. Do you know that there are still a lot of evil spirit race in the 3 realms? We must find them all and kill them all. Only then can we return peace to the 3 realms. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, more importantly, it's to prevent more people from being harmed by them. Even more so, this situation would not have happened. If you want to die, I won't stop you. If you want to take revenge and destroy this race, then stand up. I will give you resources, nurture you, and allow you to become true experts again. This was all Yi Tianyun could do. He definitely did not want them to die like this, as there was no value in dying like this. It was not that he wanted to use them, but that the evil spirit race would not be sad if they died like this. Ting. Chapter 777. Yi Tianyun's words let them have a goal, and their loyalty immediately surged. At the same time, a notification sounded in his ears. Ding, Jiao Yuling became a loyal divine general, gained 500. 000 EXP, 500. 000 crazy point. Ding, Yu Tianling became a loyal divine general, gained 1 million EXP, 1000. 000 crazy point. Ding, Hui Tianqing became a loyal divine general, gained 800. 000 EXP, 800. 000 crazy point. Ding, one by one, the girls became Yi Tianyun's divine generals. This really caught him off guard. He wanted to persuade them not to commit suicide. There was no value in dying like this. Instead, this group of garbage evil spirit race would laugh at them for their cowardice. Just now, they were devalued, so he wanted to create value for them. He wanted to vent his anger on the evil spirit race and destroy this race from the 3 realms. Only then would they be able to display their value and not die just like that. Ding, successfully subdued 10 divine generals, gained 1 billion EXP, 1 million crazy point, 500. 000 proficiency. At the same time, obtained a divine general summoning token, can be used 3 times to summon different number of divine generals. Ding, successfully subdued 15 divine generals, gained 5 billion EXP, 5 million crazy point, 2 million proficiency. At the same time, obtained a divine general summoning token and divine general invincibility talisman. After use, all divine generals' power will increase tenfold, defense will increase tenfold, can be used 3 times. A bunch of rewards popped up crazily, and Yi Tianyun almost fainted. 12 girls directly became his divine generals. It was incredible. He just said a few words, and they immediately became loyal to him, willing to do anything for him. Yi Tianyun didn't mean it this way. It was too difficult to subdue a divine general. Who would have thought that it would be so easy? We are willing to do anything for Master, even if we have to die, we will do it immediately. I hope Master doesn't despise us for being dirty. Wait. Yi Tianyun interrupted them in a deep voice. After walking back and forth in front of them for a while, he said in a deep voice, "Do you feel that after being defiled, you feel that you are dirty, you feel that you don't even have a chance to approach others?" Yes. We feel that we have been defiled by these disgusting races. Only Master can give us a reason to live. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyun's words, they would have committed suicide a long time ago. No, your hearts are very pure, without the slightest bit of impurity. It is undeniable that you have been defiled by a group of beasts, but that is only the body. When your cultivation base breaks through to a profound level, you can even be reborn and have a brand new body. Moreover, this is not voluntary. Your hearts are always the purest. The most important thing was that his heart wasn't tainted. Don't feel inferior at all. You will always be the purest and most beautiful. Yi Tianyun's words came from the bottom of his heart. They were all innocent victims. As long as one's heart wasn't tainted, nothing would be a problem. It was this group of trash that deserved to die, not them. Moreover, as he said, after breaking through to the Saint King stage, this was indeed possible. Being reborn and changing one's body was akin to having a brand new body. It was just that if they couldn't get rid of the shadow in their hearts, it would be useless even if they were reborn and changed their bodies. After listening to Yi Tianyun's words, they immediately burst into tears. They all despised themselves and were afraid that Yi Tianyun would not come close to them. They had no intention of looking for any Tao companions. They only had one goal, and that was to kill all the evil spirit race. It was just that they were afraid that Yi Tianyun would despise them. But even if he despised them, they would not have the slightest qualification to refute. Even if they despised them, what qualifications did they have to refute? Now Yi Tianyun's words fiercely hit their hearts, causing them to sob uncontrollably. After seeing this, Yi Tianyun shook his head and sighed deeply. In many cases, women were sacrifices, especially female cultivators. If they were caught, they would basically be defiled and most of them would choose to commit suicide. Because prejudice was always the most terrifying thing. Gossip was a fearful thing. Those who had been defiled were not treated well. They were clearly all victims, and they had not done it willingly, yet they had received such treatment. It was truly chilling. He couldn't care less about the thoughts of others, but on his side, there was no such thing as prejudice. Now, I'll give you a mission. That is to gather all the valuable treasures here and then gather them back here. Yi Tianyun immediately gave them their first mission. With the help of the longevity necklace, they had more or less recovered. Their cultivation had not recovered, but walking was not a problem. Yes, sir. They wiped their tears and immediately ran to other places to search, their eyes filled with hope. They did not ask for anything else now. Other than killing the evil spirit race, their greatest wish was to forever become Yi Tianyun's subordinates and do anything for him. Of course, Yi Tianyun did not need them to do this. He had only done something that was worthy of his conscience. Then, he arrived in front of the Water Dragon Emperor and the evil spirit race experts, looked at them coldly and said, "I originally wanted you guys to take action, but it seems like there's no need for you guys to take action anymore." In the next moment, he waved his hand, and the two of them were also thrown to the side. They were quickly devoured by the inextinguishable flames. Their outcome was similar to the three ancestors, and they were devoured bit by bit. Yi Tianyun was just that ruthless. Once he was harmed or wanted to harm the people around him, he would be incomparably furious and would definitely be ruthless. The Water Dragon Emperor even wanted to capture his friends to threaten him. After finding out about this, the outcome was already decided. You will die a horrible death. You want to get rid of our evil spirit race? Don't even think about it. That's right, even if we die, we won't let you off. Once our evil spirit race attacks, it will be the time of your deaths. When they were engulfed by the flames, they still said vicious words. Is there anything new about your words? It's all this nonsense. Yi Tianyun sneered, I will wait here. I will kill as many as you come. At that time, even if you don't come, I will personally kill my way to your door. I will completely eliminate you trash and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. He had already made up his mind. He would not be at ease until he completely eradicated the evil spirit race's headquarters. The situation in the three realms had already been exposed. It was only a matter of time before they attacked again. Chapter 778. While he was punishing these trash, Yi Tianyun was waiting on the side. Soon, the girls came back and moved all the valuable treasures here. Some were holy artifacts, some were elixirs, and some were martial arts. Master, these things are all here. There was no greed in their eyes. They didn't care about these things at all. Everything they did was for Yi Tianyun. They didn't think for themselves. Plus, they were absolutely loyal, so they wouldn't embezzle anything. If it was other ordinary cultivators, some greedy ones would have already secretly put them in their storage ring. The palace was so big, they didn't think that Yi Tianyun could keep an eye on everyone, so they put them in their storage ring without being discovered. In fact, if Yi Tianyun really wanted to keep an eye on them, he wouldn't feel any pressure. The appraisal eye could cover the entire palace, so their every move could be seen. But for them, Yi Tianyun didn't see if they had hidden anything. This was more of a kind of trust in them. If he didn't even trust them, then he didn't trust them too much. Of course, becoming his divine general meant absolute loyalty, without the slightest bit of selfishness. Take all the treasures here. They will be your starting resources. Distribute them reasonably. The 12 of you can choose the weapons that suit you according to your needs. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. 12's heart shook as they looked at Yi Tianyun in shock. These were all holy artifacts. The worst was a low-rank holy artifact. They could be said to be very precious. And those elixirs, they were all level 4 and above. They had never seen such high-grade treasures in their lives. When they were caught, their cultivation was at most around the spirit core stage, which was not very high. Now that their cultivation was destroyed, they felt a bit uncertain. But now, not only did Yi Tianyun give them a lot of resources, he also gave them a lot of precious weapons. This meant that it wouldn't be difficult for them to cultivate again. Master, aren't these treasures a bit too precious? Even if they didn't have the slightest bit of greed in their hearts, they would still be shocked if it was really given to them. One had to know that in the outside world, people would fight to the death for it. It's not precious. You deserve it. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice. Later on, I will teach you martial arts that suit you. I hope that you will cultivate well and not waste my effort. If I find anyone slacking off, or giving up, I won't do anything but make the lazy go home obediently and don't stay in my team. Master, we will never be lazy, they shouted in unison. Their voices were sonorous and firm. After this incident, no matter how arrogant and lazy they were in the past, they would change. Very good, then I'll start teaching martial arts later. Soon, they began to choose weapons that suited them. Some liked to use swords, while others liked to use knives. Everyone had different preferences. However, most people preferred to use swords. Swords were relatively more balanced and not as heavy. Soon after, Yi Tianyun taught them martial arts one by one. He didn't have much, but he had a lot of martial arts. He picked out martial arts that suited them and let them cultivate again. With the help of precious pills, not only would they be able to return to their peak, they would also be able to break through further. Watching them cultivate hard, Yi Tianyun believed that it wouldn't take long for the 12 of them to become a super team that could hunt the evil spirit race. The group of people on the side kept screaming, but their expressions didn't change as they continued to cultivate. Just like that, they continued to cultivate here as if nothing had happened. If someone were to come in and see this scene, they would definitely be shocked. On one side, someone was being burned, and on the other side, they were cultivating. It was simply too strange. After temporarily getting rid of the remnants here, Yi Tianyun knew that there were still many remnants that had not been eradicated, but he believed that there wouldn't be too many. As long as the old ancestor level died, the remaining evil spirit race cultivators with relatively low cultivation would not be too difficult to eliminate. They stayed here for half a month, and all of them fiercely raised their cultivation. With the help of so many pills, all of them rushed towards the spirit core stage. They already had a foundation, so it wouldn't be too difficult for them to cultivate back again. Thus, in less than half a month, the cultivation of the 12 of them had quickly recovered by more than half. It was truly terrifying. They cultivated like crazy. Hatred could destroy a person, and it could also push a person's potential to the limit. At the same time, those ancestors were burned for an entire half a month. They were not burned to death, but more than half of their bodies were burned. They didn't even have the strength to shout now. Their lives were hanging by a thread, and they couldn't die even if they wanted to. Yi Tianyun wouldn't let them die so easily, he would let them receive this punishment. It's about time. You guys already have the ability to protect yourselves. While you are cultivating, I will refine a batch of necklaces for you. As long as you get close to the evil spirit race, you will immediately release a red light, proving that the other party is the evil spirit race. Yi Qianyun said in a deep voice at that time, I don't need to say anything, you guys know what to do, right? Previously, he felt that he needed to level up his appraisal eyes in order to find the evil spirit race. After some research, he discovered that after refining a treasure with the blood of the evil spirit race, it would release a red light when it got close to the evil spirit race, indicating that the other party was the evil spirit race. This kind of thing was very useful. It could be given to the experts of the Empire and would be of great help in exterminating the evil spirit race in the mortal realm. This way, even if they were to hide, they would still be discovered. Thank you, Master. They all excitedly took the necklace, even more excited than when they had obtained the sacred artifact. Right now, what they wanted the most was to exterminate the evil spirit race, but they would immediately face a problem, and that was that they would not be able to tell. If they were to hide themselves, such as the heavenly netherworld divine nations, it would not be easy to tell. Only after revealing their strength would they truly know that they were from the evil spirit race. Very good, then I will now hand over your last mission here. Yi Qianyun pointed at the evil spirit race's ancestors who were lying on the ground in pain, and said, Do you want to kill them? Yes. It's just that Master's method is even more. They nodded heavily. Even though the evil spirit race had been burned for a long time, they were still unable to quell the anger in their hearts. It's about time. I'll leave their lives to you to settle and fulfill your final wish, Yi Qianyun said in a deep voice. Yes, sir. They did not continue to refuse. They wanted to cut them up piece by piece. Soon after, they pounced forward and began to quickly cut down, pulling out their tendons and peeling off their skin. It was absolutely cruel. Compared to the suffering they had suffered, what was this? 12 people, huh? Then I'll name them the 12 golden hairpins. The 12 golden hairpins originally symbolized beauty, but what was described here was that under the beauty, there was a heart filled with vengeance. It was like a thorny rose. If one was not careful, they would hurt the person who picked it. Chapter 779. Under the harvest of the 12 of them, 5 people were completely killed, but the skinning process lasted for more than a day. If other cultivators were here, they would definitely be scared to death. What kind of cruel method was this that made a dozen girls willing to do such a thing? They weren't old at all. The oldest was only 15 or 16 years old, and the youngest was 8 or 9 years old. Each of them was like a madman, and they weren't afraid of the blood or the horrible scene. But after they killed the 5 people, they turned their heads and vomited to the side. Then they hugged each other and cried bitterly. They felt that some things had been put down, and some things were a lot easier. Yi Qianyun also got perfect EXP, and it was all superimposed on the system. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Qianyun for successfully breaking through to 6th layer Saint King stage. Yi Qianyun successfully broke through again. This time, he used 100 times EXP card to help him break through again. But now, he didn't feel any surprise in his heart, and he felt a bit heavy when he looked at them. The 12 golden hairpins quickly recovered and stood in front of him, bowed deeply, and said, Thank you, Master. They didn't say anything special, just a simple word of gratitude, and it was enough to express their inner excitement. From today on, I will give you a code name, and that is the 12 golden hairpins. It represents beauty and danger, and your ultimate goal is to eliminate the evil spirit race from the mortal world, understand? Yi Qianyun said solemnly. Understood. There was a bit of surprise in their eyes. They liked this code name very much. Very good, now you can go back to your homes, or go directly to the Heavenly Clouds Empire. Yi Qianyun said indifferently, I almost forgot to introduce myself to you. I am the great emperor of the Heavenly Clouds Empire. Their beautiful eyes were suddenly filled with shock. They didn't know what Yi Qianyun's true identity was, but no matter what, it didn't matter to them. He was the master they had to follow. Who knew that he was the famous Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor? It really shocked them. They didn't expect that the famous Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor was this young man in front of them. It was really shocking. At first, they had thought that it was some old man. At the very least, he wouldn't be too young. Who would have thought that it was a young man who had saved them? There were even rumors in the outside world that the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor was a debauchee, but now, there was no such thing as a rumor. I plan to go back home, and then go to Heavenly Cloud's empire. I am also planning to go back to my home and talk to my family before going to Heavenly Cloud's empire. I don't have any family left. They were all killed by these bastards. I plan to go to the Heavenly Cloud's empire. More than half of them had lost their families and wanted to return to the Heavenly Cloud's empire. The evil spirit race was simply too ruthless, directly annihilating an entire village and capturing it as food. All right, I'll bring you out of here. With a wave of his hand, Yi Qianyun brought them out of the palace. At this time, there was no heavenly yin fire around the palace, it was completely absorbed by him. Therefore, it was no longer cold here. When he left, he slammed his hand down, and a wave of power exploded above the palace, completely destroying it. The hiding place of the evil spirit race in the mortal world was completely destroyed. In addition to this, the evil spirit race's cultivation base was weak. There were basically no powerful evil spirit race in the mortal world. Most of them were killed by him, so it was impossible for there to be other powerful evil spirit race. The remaining evil spirit race was always a small part, and most of them should stay in the heaven world or the ghost world. The mortal world's conditions were too restrictive, unlike the ghost world and the heaven world. As long as the bloodline of the evil spirit race was thin, no one would notice it. Soon, they returned to the place where the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was. He found that the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was gone. Obviously, Lan Qingling had taken the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar away. It had been half a month since the last time, and if they were still here, the efficiency would be too low. When they swam to the surface, Yi Qianyun separated those who wanted to go back. Many of them lived in the sea. However, only a small portion of them left, and most of them chose to leave with him. Yi Qianyun was not worried that they would never return. They had all become his divine generals, and their loyalty had reached the highest level. It meant that no matter what he did, it would not drop. When he continued to swim forward with them, after swimming for a few hours, they finally saw the huge figure of the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. Looking from afar, one could see 3 gigantic sea whales trying their best to drag the Ascension Divine Altar forward. Their speed was neither fast nor slow, and was basically no different from a normal person's running speed. If there were not 3 whales, this thing would not be able to move at all. It was like a city standing here. How could it be easily dragged? After dragging for half a month, they were not even halfway there. It seemed that they would need a month to successfully reach their destination. When they swam over, the guards at the side immediately saw them and looked over vigilantly. When they saw that it was Yi Qianyun, they all greeted respectfully, "Young master." Yi Qianyun nodded and swam forward with the others. Soon, he saw Lan Qingling supervising the work of the 3 sea whales in the front, trying to make them swim forward. It was really hard work, and the consumption was absolutely shocking. "Young master, you're back." When Lan Qingling saw Yi Qianyun return, she immediately swam over. "Yen, it seems that the progress is not bad." Yi Qianyun smiled and said, "I will accompany you for the rest of the time, and wait for the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar to be dragged back to its original position." He originally thought that it would take a lot of time, but it seemed that there was still plenty of time. When the time came, he still had to set up the formation and stabilize the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. Then, they entered the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar and waited for the transportation. Along the way, Yi Qianyun constantly refined medicinal pills to replenish the energy of the whales. Dragging this thing was too heavy, and the consumption of spiritual energy was shocking. If they wanted to speed up, they would not be able to do it without medicinal pills. With his help, the speed of their progress increased greatly, and in less than a week, they were already faster than before. "Young master, there are many cultivators outside, and they seem to be from the Empire's forces. They have started to attack us, and they want to stop us." Lan Qingling hurriedly came in from outside and reported. Chapter 780. Yi Qianyun knew that there would definitely be people intercepting him. Facing so many mermaids and a palace, how could he not be interested? After he came out of the heaven-ascending divine altar, he immediately saw a large group of cultivators blocking in front of him, and many of them were already fighting with the mermaids. The 3 sea whales were intercepted in front of them, constantly resisting attacks as a meat shield. Water Dragon Empire's people? When Yi Tianyun saw the cultivators intercepting outside, he immediately smiled. He was wondering which empire was so arrogant, but it turned out to be the Water Dragon Empire. The Water Dragon Empire happened to be built in the area on the edge of Demon Cloud Island, so they would definitely come here to intercept the situation. As for the cultivators in Demon Cloud City, they were completely on the side. Hurry up, catch these mermaids, they can be sold for a good price. Hey, there is a big palace there, I don't know what treasures are inside, but it looks like it's definitely not bad. Hurry up and catch this sea whale, we must not let it go. When the great emperor comes back, he will definitely reward us. All of them seemed to have gone mad as they rushed over, ready to capture all the mermaids. When they just wanted to attack further, a terrifying force suppressed them, and the cultivators who just wanted to hurt them were immediately shocked into a blood miss. The Water Dragon Empire's general behind was stunned. How did the soldiers they sent out die in the blink of an eye? Who gave you the courage to stop my sea whale? Yi Tianyun flew over and glanced at them indifferently. Behind him were the 12 golden hairpins, but now there were only 8 left, and 4 of them had already gone back. They all followed closely behind, and wherever Yi Tianyun went, they would follow. How dare you? How dare you kill one of our people? Do you know which force we belong to? A general swam over and looked at him with killing intent in his eyes. None of them had seen Yi Tianyun before, so they didn't recognize the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor in front of them. At that time, he invited people to congratulate him, but only a few of them. It was impossible for all the great emperors to come with their families to congratulate him. Buzz, at this time, the necklaces on their chests suddenly lit up, which meant that someone in front of them was from the evil spirit race. Their eyes were filled with astonishment at first, but in the blink of an eye, they were filled with killing intent. Yi Tianyun raised his head and saw a few members of the evil spirit race not far away. Their gazes were fixed on Lan Qingling's direction. Some of them were even preparing to leave this place quietly. Undoubtedly, they were planning to report the news. Go! Yi Tianyun gestured with his hand, and the 8 great golden hairpins swam over without hesitation. They gripped their sage-level weapons tightly in their hands and charged forward. Before the other party could react, a sword beam had already pierced through their bodies. With a scream, they immediately died. After they died, 2 arms suddenly grew out from their backs, completely revealing their true forms. This meant that the ones they had killed were not fake. They were truly evil spirit race. After killing them, the necklace in his bosom immediately stopped shining. The 8 golden hairpins immediately returned to Yi Tianyun's side and waited quietly. I didn't expect you to still dare to attack. If you don't give us an explanation today, no matter what faction you are from, you will all die here. The Water Dragon General was furious. He thought that he would scare them, but he didn't expect that he would immediately attack them. I am from the Heavenly Clouds Empire. Do you want to fight? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. You are from the Heavenly Clouds Empire? The Water Dragon General and the others were startled. After looking at each other, they immediately laughed. Just a few people, and you dare say that you are from the Heavenly Clouds Empire? I am the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor. Kill them. If the Water Dragon Great Emperor comes back, we won't be able to explain ourselves. Honored guest. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. It seems that the evil spirit race's people that he just killed were sent here to negotiate with the Water Dragon Empire. Originally, I just wanted to kill some of the people in the Water Dragon Empire, but it seems that the entire Water Dragon Empire has become the base camp of the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun took a step forward, and with a dong sound, a terrifying wave of water surged forward, and the guards who rushed forward were immediately killed. Even the Water Dragon General didn't know what happened, and he was killed by the wave of water. Such terrifying power, they immediately thought of one person, and that was the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor. The young man in front of them was really the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor. But it was too late, and they were quickly killed by the water waves. Keep going. Yi Tianyun pointed his finger and signaled the mermaid clan to continue on their way. Most of them hadn't seen Yi Tianyun fight before, so when he did it, they were all shocked. Is this the power of the young master? With just one step in the water, he killed the enemy by relying on the fluctuations of the water waves. With him here, no one can stop the advancement of the heaven-ascending divine altar. The situation here was quickly seen by the cultivators outside. They originally wanted to drink some soup, but when they found a super expert below, they were scared and immediately ran back. As they got closer and closer to the Demon Cloud Island, many people came out of the Demon Cloud Island and looked over. Many people looked at the mermaid clan with greed in their eyes. They all wanted to catch a mermaid so that they could live without worrying about food and clothing. It's a mermaid, I want to go down and catch a mermaid. There's also a sea whale, if you can cut a large piece of sea whale meat, it's also worth a lot of money. Did you see that temple? Isn't that the temple that was dragged away by the sea demons before? Why did they send it back now? It's a bit strange. All of them were shocked, and they didn't know why a large number of mermaid clan would drag the temple here. But no matter what the reason was, they only had eyes for the mermaids. As long as they could catch a mermaid, the price would be at least 1,000,000 spirit stones, which was a lot of money for them. Although it was dangerous in front of them, greed had clouded their minds. Don't make a mistake. If anyone dares to harm the mermaid clan, I'll make sure they die in this sea. Yi Tianyun flew in the air and looked at them coldly. He could ignore the hunting of sea beasts, but the mermaid clan could be said to be a great hero, and now they were his subordinates, so he absolutely couldn't touch them. Why can't we touch them just because you said so? Who do you think you are? Someone immediately retorted. For them, this was a lot of money. Because I am the heavenly cloud's great emperor, is this enough? As soon as his voice fell, a terrifying aura gushed out of his body and shrouded the entire Demon Cloud Island, forcing all the cultivators to kneel on the ground. The terrifying aura made them not even have the courage to stand up, and their legs went soft.